Hey, Pope, don't worry about it.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, August 30th, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1064.
This is No Agenda.
Getting to the bottom of all this monkey business and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin Tejas in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm sealed for your protection, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Oh, and all along, I thought it was for freshness. Oh, gee. Just for protection. Who knew?
You know.
Yes. In the morning to you, sir.
In the morning to you.
Yeah. Hey, you don't have to yell at me. Like you're mad.
In the morning, all ships at sea.
Yeah, and the boots on the ground. Well, it was a show day on Sunday, and of course we had a shooting. I think if 3 people die, then it's considered a mass shooting, but you wouldn't know it from the mainstream media. They kind of came and went.
What shooting are you referring to?
Oh, the at the Madden game competition. Yeah. So the kid was, I guess he might have been on some kind of psychotropic drugs. He was under psychiatric care. But
yeah, it was all the elements that you want.
Yeah, but worst of all, he was a Trump hater. So we just not hearing much about this anymore now, are we?
Well, apparently the elections are underway. We're kind of we got the last couple primaries out of the way. We're heading to the midterms, the finals.
Yes.
In November, and we have to focus on other things.
Yes, we can't be focusing on what's killing our young people. That would be ludicrous. And since we're mentioning, you might as well play my clip on the. What's the name of this clip? It's the Big Pharma. I just picked this off the internet. Some guys on one of the it's like a podcast, elaborate podcast where they have these different kinds of editorializing. Uh-huh. And this is the I saw this media and drug companies.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of it.
With the exception of CBS, every major media outlet in the United States shares at least one board member with at least one pharmaceutical company. Let me put that into perspective. These board members wake up, they go to a meeting at Merck or Pfizer, then they have their driver take them over to a meeting with NBC to decide what kind of programming that network is going to air. And for those board members who aren't pulling double duty with a media conglomerate and a big drug company, they still understand that they can't be mean to Big Pharma because Big Pharma pays their bills. Drug companies spend about $5 billion a year on advertising with these media outlets.
I think we do a better job than wherever you pick that up from.
He goes on and on. But the point is about this last shooting, you'll note.
Yeah.
This is one of the few times where it was actually brought into the conversation that this kid was on drugs.
Well, he had been hospitalized. There's nothing about drugs. I don't see that discussed anywhere.
I saw the thing. He was on Xanax and something else.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And as soon as that happens, they pull the story.
It's all over. Now, isn't it interesting that CBS gets a pass in that little clip
he only gets a pass, if you listen carefully, they only get a pass because they don't have a board member
but
who's
still.
on a drug company.
Still. Well,
I don't get a pass for advertising.
I was going to go completely the opposite way as we were talking about elections. Oh boy, I'm really excited. Do you know who's running for 2020? Maybe, possibly, could be.
Well, there's been a lot, including Oprah. But.
No, we know Oprah's not going to do it. No. Our favorite petite man with the big head.
Let's talk about where you've been standing a lot, Congressman, and that is in Iowa. 10 times over the last year and a half is what has been reported. And I like Iowa. My dad's from Iowa. I was born there.
Yeah. In Iowa.
Yeah, you were born there. There you go. People running for president also like Iowa.
Do you know who it is yet?
Well, it's not Corker. It's not
petite male.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, though. I mean, I immediately, as soon as you say that, I think of that guy over here at Cal, the professor.
No, this is Swalwell.
Oh, Swalwell?
Yeah, listen,
Wow,
I heard
you
about
spend
that.
a lot of time there. Have you?
Swalwell's an idiot. He's only a congressman from California. He's never done anything. He's deluded.
He's floating balloons.
Are you going to run for president?
Well, I'm going to do all I can first to win my way back to Congress. I'm helping a lot of colleagues, particularly there's three seats in Iowa where we have two of our candidates under the age of 40. And then after the midterms, Poppy, I am going to consider it. But right now, I'm helping candidates who are stepping up to protect our health care, protect paychecks, and protect the democracy. And I'm just inspired by so many new candidates who are bursts of new energy, ideas,
so inspired.
And leadership.
There was the news in there.
Where are all these leaders with leadership that's inspiring him so much? The only one I know of is AOC. She's rather inspiring.
Considering it. So not a denial. You're thinking about running for president. Why do you think that you would be, A, your party's best shot at the Oval Office, and B, the single best person to lead this country?
Well, Poppy, this president has just taken a wrecking ball to so many freedoms that help give me, a first-generation person in my family, to go to college and opportunity.
Okay, let's just review that statement. This president has taken a wrecking ball to so many opportunities that many freedoms that gave my family opportunities. I'm not sure what freedoms he's taken away.
This country.
Well, Poppy, this president has just taken a wrecking ball to so many freedoms that help give me, a first-generation person in my family, to go to college and opportunity. I was raised to believe that if you work hard, it means something. And I think that having experience and energy to give Americans a health care guarantee, invest in modern schools, to make sure that we green our grid and our infrastructure, that is the path forward.
Hey, that's a new one. Green the grid. I like it. I like that. Green the grid.
The future for our country is a page forward, and I'm going to consider it. But again, right now, the best way to cut our time in hell in half is to win Congress, and we shouldn't look beyond that.
He's got his talking points, so I like that.
There was a guy, I don't have it in front of me, and I probably should have printed it out, which is a editorial in the USA Today by a professor at Pennsylvania who teaches some screwball course. And it is a screwball course when you look at what it was. But he goes on and on about how we're in hell with this president, and we have to make a deal with the devil with him. We have to offer him a pardon.
So he can resign.
Yeah, something like that. It just goes on. It's like what?
Yes, this is still ongoing. Actually, this is a holdover from Sunday's show. This is Kamala Harris, and yes, indeed, the impeachment is on, and it's on in the context of the appointed Judge Kavanaugh, who still has to go through his confirmation hearing. And I think the reasoning behind what she's about to say here is we can't even consider confirming Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court because he would then be judging or responsible for the ultimate decision in some kind of impeachment hearing.
I really need to speak to and want to speak to what's happened in the last day. I believe that the future of our republic is very much in the balance. I believe the future of our democracy is very much in the balance. Our democracy,
it's a tape glitch.
Our republic, it's like a tabletop. It stands on 4 legs. And those legs are 3 independent, co-equal branches of government and a free and independent press.
Oh, that's new. I didn't realize that. Is that the way you're supposed to see it?
Not that I know of, but it's okay. I don't care.
It's new for her.
Those are 3 independent, co-equal branches of government and a free and independent press. And as it relates to the Kavanaugh nomination and the hearings that are scheduled to happen in just 2 weeks, I would suggest that an unindicted co-conspirator to a crime should not be in the business of having the ability to appoint someone to a lifetime position on the highest court in our land, a court which invariably would hear the matters that are the subject of this very discussion.
It's off the rails.
So that's what's happening right now. And I think it's imperative that everyone pay attention to this moment and understand and see it for what it is, which is it is going to be a question about the strength of our democracy and our republic. This is a serious matter.
Yes, Kamala, I'm convinced that if Bob Mueller Who the hell? Why? Where did the memo go out that every douche can call him Bob?
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob Mueller. Even if Bob Mueller were to say, well, that's it, no collusion, nothing to see here, I don't think they would give up.
Oh, of course not. Come on. This is part of the strategy I was outlined in a newsletter 2 newsletters ago.
Yeah. Bob Mueller's gone crazy. He must be on drugs. Can't be right.
Sold out.
Yeah.
Co-opted.
Yeah, sold out. Yes, that would be it. Yeah. He's in it for himself. Yeah. Yeah. So we had the flag controversy as well on Sunday. You notice that never was there any admission that the president himself told anyone to lower the flag. Do we actually know what happened for McCain?
All we know is that Trump's a jerk.
Yeah. Well, hello.
That's all we know.
I do have some interesting McCain flubs, which are just.
Let's listen to those. That'd be a nice little thing.
Well, I don't want to be dancing on the guy's grave, and I'm not really.
Well, you already did that when he died, when you played the Pachenik thing.
I was not dancing on his grave. Someone gave me a lot of crap for that. It's bad karma. Why? Bad karma. It's like I'm playing a different opinion.
It might be bad karma to be sending him off with so many accolades he doesn't deserve. How about that for bad karma?
What I'd like to know is how many military people will be speaking at his funeral. And I haven't seen any lined up yet. I'd like to know.
They kept Sarah Palin from coming. I thought that was insulting.
She's uninvited. The president's uninvited.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're going down and you're at the end, really? I don't know, man. I think I'd be like, hey, have Leo Laporte come to the funeral. What the hell? I think exactly. Here's Dianne Feinstein talking about Senator McCain.
He could have very sobering outbursts, but when the chips were down, Donald McCain was there, and he was there with heart.
I love Dianne. Donald McCain. Oh, okay. Sounds like, I thought that was right. No. Wrong.
Wow.
That's pretty bad. And no one corrects her. She just keeps on going.
Have to play that again. It's so good.
The next one is even better.
He could have very sobering outbursts, but when the chips were down, Donald McCain was there, and he was there with heart and muscle.
So she's got to be thinking Donald Trump about something.
No, I think she might have been thinking about Donald McGahn because he was also in the news. Trump's, I guess the White House lawyer resigned or is resigning or is leaving or I don't know. Who knows what Diane's thinking? But more importantly, what is this lady thinking?
We begin today's show looking back at the life and legacy of John McCain.
Okay, now we know who it is.
Yeah.
But man,
Amy,
this flub is pretty. She corrects it, though. Self-correcting flub.
We begin today's show looking back at the life and legacy of John McCain, the 6-term senator and 2-time presidential candidate who died Saturday at the age of 81 of breast cancer at his home in Arizona. Of brain cancer.
Wow.
Hey, look, breast cancer is no laughing matter, but
but be thinking breast cancer when he had brain cancer is like, and it's generally a female issue more than men. Men do get it, but it's rare.
Yeah,
but to be thinking that.
I think it's kind of if you listen carefully, you can hear the control room yelling in her ear.
Who died Saturday at the age of 81 of breast cancer at his home in Arizona of brain cancer.
Oh, poor Judy. She must feel bad about that one.
Amy.
Damn it. Yeah, I flubbed on the flub. Yeah, there you go. That's how it works. Flubbed on the flub. That's right. Show me right. All right.
Gotcha, bro.
We were talking about Southwest. There's something being up with Southwest.
Oh, yeah, with Southwest Air.
Because their flights have been messed up, and you noticed it. And I got a note from Jeffrey Tuhig there in New Mexico. And his fiance's daughter, Rebecca, came to visit. No, his fiance is Rebecca. Her daughter came to visit. And her flight on Southwest was canceled. And here's what she found out. Southwest is systematic pulling planes for complete checkover and maintenance. This is because of the engine that flew apart.
Oh, yeah.
So they have to, I guess they're pretty tight with their planes, but they got to check them all. So that's what's happening. But
that makes sense.
It's problematic for the.
It's going to go on for about a year then.
It could go on for a while. Yeah, I think so.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yes.
Does make sense.
We had a big event. The president did a deal with Mexico. It's not quite signed yet, but he did an interesting thing where he called the incoming Mexican president, Enrique. Called him on the speakerphone there in the Oval Office with, this is not going to mean much to anybody else, but I look at Trump and sometimes I see Ron Bloom. Do you know what I mean?
There's a little of that.
There's definitely some of that in there. And it's this kind of thing that really reminds me of, it's like, well, we'll just do this. We'll just get him on the speakerphone. And I don't know if you saw, but it took, at least 2 minutes to get everything hooked up on the speakerphone. This was something we had to make fun of. Wow, you can't even handle the speakerphone. Did you see this?
No.
Okay, so I have The Guardian. They, of course, needed to have this front and center. Forget about what this potential trade deal may be. Wow, what an idiot. He can't even operate the phone. So they put up the video and they put music under it and they edit it to show that he's a buffoon.
It's a big day for trade, big day for our country. A lot of people.
This is The Guardian. This is their editorializing.
And I believe the president is on the phone. Enrique. You can hook him up. You tell me when. Oh, yeah.
How many shutters going on?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people waiting.
People waiting. I know he's hating this moment, too. Hello?
Oh, yeah. He's going to chew somebody out.
Oh, yeah.
You want to put that on this phone, please?
Yeah, please. That would be handy.
President Trump, how are you? Good morning.
Thank you, Enrique.
Yeah, that just keeps on going. And then, oh, my goodness, he said he hopes Canada joins. Oh, another slap in Trump's face. Meanwhile, our trade with Mexico in the United States is $500-600 billion a year. It's not insignificant.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot.
And the New York Times, they're like, oh, he lied again. He lied. He said this will be the biggest deal. No. If TPP had gone through, that would have been a bigger deal. That's all they had to say about it. I mean, I haven't seen any analysis of
Yeah, how about some information?
Yeah, like what's going on with it?
Is slapping around.
Actually, CBC did more than I could find in U.S. media, the Scandinavians, who will obviously be affected if this is the replacement for our North American Free Trade Agreement. And what do we do with Canada? It's much smaller, isn't it? Isn't it 50, 60 billion?
Canada provides about half of our oil. They're much bigger.
Bigger than Mexico?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Well, I can go look it up. I don't. This is just off the top of my head. But because of our dependence on them for oil, which nobody likes to talk about.
Okay, what I've got is export $282 billion, import $299 billion. Now let me see. Mexico. Mexico. Come on, Mexico. It doesn't even. That's interesting. I can't find it as fast as I did the other one. Well. It seems like Mexico may be bigger. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, I don't know.
No, maybe I'm wrong.
Could be.
No, Mexico being bigger would be you being right.
Yes, who knows? Anyway, we don't know anything.
You're really flubbing a lot because of that flub stuff. If you end up pointing out the karma and then the flubs, I think this show is going to be this is going to be the flub show.
Okay, we'll see how it rolls.
And you'll know why.
I really don't know what this is. Anyway,
I'll continue to research.
Here's what Troll Room should be on this already. Here's what the Canadian news says.
Moments after he made that statement, Donald Trump brought the Mexican president onto the phone. Enrique Peña Nieto says the goal is to bring Canada into the deal as soon as possible. How that will work remains up in the air. CBC's Evan Dyer joins us from Ottawa. And Mexico's president mentioning Canada as many times as possible, it seemed there, Evan.
Yes, that's right. This appears to have been an effort by the Mexicans to make it clear that they're not throwing Canada under the bus. The Mexicans, of course, went into this bilateral round of negotiations on the understanding that they were going to sort out some outstanding issues between themselves and the United States, issues that didn't really involve Canada. It wasn't supposed to lead to a new bilateral NAFTA that would exclude Canada. It wasn't supposed to lead to the abrogation of NAFTA and its replacement with a new bilateral trade deal called the United States-Mexico Trade Agreement. But that is clearly the way that President Trump is spinning it, with President Trump giving the impression that he doesn't really care very much whether Canada is invited to join or not, that the door is open, but that Canada would have to clearly, in his mind, accept some pretty significant concessions to be allowed in, with him pointing out that it would be the easiest thing we could do, as he put it, to slap car tariffs on Canada. So, rather an unexpected outcome if you look back at his campaign and all of his rhetoric about NAFTA, giving the impression that Mexico was the biggest problem, that Mexico was the country that was primarily ripping off, as he likes to say, the United States. And this, of course, is how this whole conversation about NAFTA began back during the campaign. But here we are 2 years later, and things have swung around to the point where he's happily announcing a deal, a fantastic deal with his friends, the outgoing and incoming Mexican president, of whom he can't say enough good things. And yet Canada is frozen out, and it appears that the clock is now ticking. He has essentially pulled the plug after the 90 days begins to tick away. The consultations on the new U.S.-Mexico trade agreement will begin as soon as something is signed. It will go before the Congress with an effort to get it out before December 1st, which is when the new Mexican president is inaugurated. So from the point of view of Canada, this is clearly a very extreme pressure tactic. This is
I would not be that rude about your clips, douche.
I'm more rude at that guy. That guy, holy mackerel. Who is he? Get him off. He's banned.
He's Ben Boring is what he is. He's banned. He's been banned.
Ben Boring.
I like what the president is doing because I like the sales talking points, his sales job, which I think he's done pretty successfully by trying to really abstract trade balances and surpluses and deficits to the people and try to explain how we're being ripped off. And I think that works. I think a lot of people go, getting ripped off.
I'm still trying to get these numbers, but I found this when you use Google, sometimes you get these little people also ask, and they get these things. So here's one. I've got a question for you real quick, right? It's part of this. What is Mexico's largest export?
Drugs.
No. Piñatas.
No. No.
Turns out to be crude oil, which I think is pretty much what. So they bring a lot of crude oil in, and that's a lot. They have crude oil exports totaling $49 billion. Mm-hmm. So I think the Canadians have similar. So we get most of our oil from Canada and Mexico.
Well.
Meanwhile, we bitch about the Middle East constantly.
Yeah. I tell you what's going to happen. I know exactly how this is going to go. We're going to get some kind of deal, and there will be a renegotiation of NAFTA. But I think it's important he does Mexico first, so that he can say, "Oh, look, so we now have an extra $40 billion that I went out and got for everybody. Half of that is how Mexico's paying for the wall. Guarantee you."
He could do that.
That's what he's going to do.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did.
Yeah.
But I say another real reason that you want to do Mexico first, because if both countries are oil exporters to the United States.
Yeah, you can play them out against each other.
Yeah, get a better deal.
Which is probably what he's doing in the first place.
That would be my guess.
I will say, we had just about some of the things that Trump has done, has instigated the tax cuts. And we had a conversation when this took place months ago about what would it do to charitable giving, that there was worry in the nonprofit sector that people wouldn't be giving as much money anymore. Certainly, if there's caps on what you can deduct from income taxes, etc. And I have a report.
Oh, okay.
And I forgot to mention this on the last show. Getting back from Chicago, Tina was there with the Ronald McDonald House annual conference. Everybody from the whole world, all the houses.
Right, major charity.
Right. They received a donation from ABVIE, ABBVIE, which is, I think they're in construction.
I have no idea.
They usually construction donates to them. And they said, because of the tax breaks, we're giving $100 million to the Ronald McDonald House.
Well, the corporate guys, yeah, because they're going to get a huge benefit, and their taxes are different. The problem with the argument was that the public, which has got its individual tax returns that are capped.
AbbVie is pharmaceuticals, by the way. I'm sorry. They're pharma.
The public is capped, but the corporations aren't. And if you start to really think about it, it's usually those monster donations that really make a huge difference. It might make a difference to the smaller little social justice.
I can tell you. Yeah, exactly. I can tell you that for any large nonprofit, it's really the corporations that do the brunt of the work, I think.
Yeah. It's a different model.
Anyway, that was nice.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. There was I didn't see any news articles on that. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the news. You turn on local news, it's all the same. It's all the same.
Yeah, you really have to dig to get stories.
Anything.
As you'll tell by my clips today, because I got some of those shallow stories, although entertaining.
Yes, well, that is part of what we do.
Some of the most shallow stories. I mean, we did have the only thing that kind of came out. Let's get back to the upcoming primaries. Is the monkey story?
Yeah, I have I have the original clip. If that'll, I see you have some clips.
Actually, I have it. I have the original clip incorporated and then kind of edited.
Okay.
I have a decent background.
The only reason I say that is because I felt after I'd read all the headlines, like, oh my goodness, that when I really heard his whole clip in context, it's such bullshit.
Oh, it's total bullcrap. But yeah, play the whole clip and then I'll play it. You'll hear it again with this clip.
Okay, so this is Ron DeSantis. And he's talking about, is it Gillum, who is the Democratic he'll be running for governor, right?
Yeah, he was promoted by Bernie Sanders, and he's an associate of, at least in kind, an associate of AOC.
And he has a very socialist message.
Yeah.
And in this context, it is important to understand that he's black.
Well, look, I mean, Florida elections are always competitive. And, this is a guy who, although he's much too liberal for Florida, I think he's got huge problems with how he's governed Tallahassee. He is an articulate spokesman for those far left views, and he's a charismatic candidate. And, I watched those Democrat debates. None of that was my cup of tea. But, I mean, he performed better than the other people there. So we've got to work hard to make sure that we continue Florida going in a good direction. Let's build off the success we've had on Governor Scott. The last thing we need to do is to monkey this up by trying to embrace a socialist agenda with huge tax increases and bankrupting the state. That is not going to work. That's not going to be good for Florida.
So, of course, immediately the headlines came out saying, he said articulate, and he said monkeying up. And you've got to be a racist prick if you receive those words and immediately translate it into racism.
Yeah.
How was your brain functioning? I mean,
this is the Dimension B brain.
What he clearly would have wanted to say is F it up, because that's what the term is. Mess it up, F it up, and somehow monkey came out. Oh, he must be racist. Oh, my goodness. I mean, people really believe this. And
the weird thing is they've also transposed it to monkey business. They did that on PBS. I've heard that done a number of times.
They said
monkey business. No, dog whistle.
Monkey business is a dog whistle?
Yeah, if you say monkey business, it's a dog whistle to
for racists.
Racists.
Yeah. All right.
Well, let's listen to the way they handle this on PBS when they do the rundown. I thought, because the way they told the story to begin with, I thought they were...
Wait, PBS picked this up as a story?
Now you're reflecting my thoughts at the moment, which were, I was thinking, well, at least these idiots won't go on in that direction, because that's really kind of a CNN, MSNBC take on things. But no, they not only went there, but they worsened it, and they added a third element.
So, Lisa, no sooner, though, did we see these results, and there's already some controversy in this contest.
That's right. That's
for the Senate.
For Congressman DeSantis, this was a huge win, a much coveted prize for him, this primary win in Florida. This morning he goes on Fox News talking about now the race against Mr. Gillum, and he says something that's gotten a lot of attention. Let's play it.
He is an articulate spokesman for those far-left views, and he's a charismatic candidate. The last thing we need to do is to monkey this up by trying to embrace a socialist agenda with huge tax increases and bankrupting the state.
Not minutes later, but seconds later, of course, many people on Twitter pointing out that those are words monkeying around that are offensive to many African Americans and have long been used as race-baiting terms. And also the term articulate to describe a minority is something that is seen as not being as post-racial.
The last time someone was accused of that, you know who that was? Chuck Schumer about Obama.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, but she said she changed the word monkey it up to monkeying around.
Yes.
He never said monkeying around.
Nope.
Americans and have long been used as race-baiting terms. And also the term articulate to describe a minority is something that is seen as not being as post-racial. So we talked to the DeSantis campaign. They sent us a statement.
Wait, did she say not seen as something not being as post-racial?
It's not being seen as post-racial, I guess.
What's post-racial?
Well, this is another one of these things that you and I and much of our audience don't seem to understand, which is because of Obama and because of the way what was taught in college today, everything that you do publicly should be post-racial. And post-racial doesn't mean there's no racism, no races. It means that you should be this is my interpretation. So you take it for what it is.
Yeah.
Everything you do should be extremely hypersensitive to anything, possibly to any element should be incredibly subtle, racially. You have to be
squeaky clean.
You have to be really cautious, so you can't say monkey it up or as she takes it, monkeying around.
Yeah,
which he didn't say, which will make the note of that. And then the other thing, which she pointed out, and you pointed out already, which is this saying the guy's articulate.
Yeah.
If I say that you're articulate, or if you say I'm articulate, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you say a black guy's articulate, that's racism.
Got it.
Now, this to me is like a very – I don't understand how the black community at large – doesn't see this as incredibly insulting. So in other words, a black person cannot be articulate.
That's what I'm saying. The people who come up with this are racist. They're the ones thinking that. That's crazy.
Well, is that clip played out?
No. I'm sorry. Not even halfway through it, I'm already tripping.
Seen as not being as post-racial. So we talked to the DeSantis campaign. They sent us a statement saying Ron DeSantis was obviously thinking about Floridians not making the wrong decision on policies and the policies that Gillum espouses. But Judy, I think this is resonating today. And for Republicans to have race be an issue right out of the gate is not just a problem overall in terms of Republicans' messaging, but in Florida. President Trump won in Florida, of course, we know in 2016. But we also know that that was a year that we saw large, sharp decreases in minority turnout in Florida. President Obama won in Florida twice. So if you see an African American at the top of the ballot, especially when there's concern about minority issues, it's something Democrats think could drive out their voters.
And meantime, on the other side, Kyle, the president has endorsed DeSantis. He did it some time ago. Today, he's weighing in, already criticizing Gillum with a tweet, and I'm quoting. He said, "Not only did Congressman Ron DeSantis easily win in the Republican primary, but his opponent in November is his biggest dream, a failed socialist mayor named named Andrew Gillum, who's allowed crime and many other problems to flourish in his city. This is not what Florida wants or needs.
Yeah. So
now this is, of course, Trump being a racist.
Racist.
This would make nothing but sense to support this guy, who's obviously a racist because he used the word
"he's racist."
Monkey it up,
yeah.
Or it's a phrase, and he also said he also complimented the guy as being articulate, which is an insult.
Yeah.
So we have to get all these things straight. and now, so there's a third guy sitting there who's like this kind of sit down analyst, and he's listening to this whole thing, and he's a classic modern PBS NewsHour, lefty. And he's sitting there, and I know what he's doing. He's thinking, well, geez, they're going to throw it to me in a minute, and I got to come up with something to kind of like
shake it up a bit. I earn my spurs.
I'm going to have, and he thinks, I'm sure this is what he's thinking. He's thinking, I'm going to top this. Or at least put some icing on this cake or some lipstick on the pig. Hit it.
I think that you may see Trump sort of echoing kind of a racially charged statement talking about crime in relation to an African American candidate. I will say there is sort of an X factor in this race, and that is that there's an FBI investigation of Tallahassee city government where Gillum is the mayor. It's not clear as to whether Gillum would be involved in that, but that is sort of a cloud hanging over his campaign, and I think a reason why some Democrats were sort of hesitant to support him in this campaign.
Well, to be fair, we should say he says he's not.
What?
Now, at the very beginning of that, he pointed out, which is icing on the cake, that by Trump calling this guy out for running a crappy city, Tallahassee, that's crime-ridden, anytime you use crime-ridden in association with a black person,
it's racist.
It's racist because...
Let me hear that again. Let me just hear it again.
I think that you may see Trump sort of echoing kind of a racially charged statement talking about crime in relation to an African American candidate. I will say there is sort of an X factor in this race,
that's unbelievable. Jeez.
So if you're running a corrupt operation, totally corrupt, and it's crime-ridden town, and you're black, you can't be called out for it. Wow, what a pass you get. This is fantastic.
And the thing is we're not catching all of these potential racist comments, because one of our producers sent me a note, and it was very thoughtful. You remember we were listening to Bill Maher, and he was saying, this is crazy. You need to have an ID to go shopping. Why shouldn't everybody on social media have an ID? You need an ID. Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, if we follow the logic of voter ID, requiring someone to have ID for something as simple as being on social media is in fact racist, because black people don't have IDs, as we've been told.
Although we've seen more than a few reports of people who have actually gone into the black community.
Of course.
And all the blacks say, what, are we stupid? We all have IDs.
Of course. But that's the kind of...
To me, this is all subtle insults. Black people are too stupid to have IDs.
Yeah.
They're too stupid. How can you call one articulate? You must be mocking him. Because he's obviously not articulate. He's a black person.
It's unbelievable.
And everyone thinks this is fine, including the black community.
And I do want to point out, this conversation...
You're wrong, Dvorak.
This conversation would not take place if we had advertisements. That would not be happening. You can't even talk about this anymore.
No, and especially in this context, in the context of sheer insanity.
Yes, well, everybody was all in on Trump being a racist once again. The rotation, you can look it up, TrumpRotation.com, as that came swinging around. And this was in the context, I think two things, but really Antifa. I guess Don Lemon said something. Maybe the president responded to that. Here he is. And by the way, CNN, they've taken it as the format, the big head in the middle. That's now their format. The one with, I thought at first was just the Cuomo kid.
Worse than that?
Huh?
I was flipping around on one of the systems, and I got CNN and Cuomo show.
Yeah.
On the regular show, his head is like taking up, instead of most of these are shoulder shots.
No, it's full on head, just head.
It's just head. It's just a giant head. Did you notice this?
Yes, that's what I said. It's
like
a giant.
you flip to the channel, it makes you jump back. It's like, I don't want to see a giant head. It just cuts off. It's like the neck to the top of the head, big giant head.
A floating head. Well, Don Lemon's head was floating when this went down.
But because it is the counterpart to the conversation about how President Trump dealt with that particular moment in American history.
It says it right in the name, Antifa, anti-fascism, which is what they were there fighting. Listen, there's, no organization is perfect. There was some violence. No one condones the violence, but there were different reasons for Antifa and for these neo-Nazis to be there. One, racist fascists. The other group fighting racist fascists. There's a distinction there. Thank you both. I appreciate it.
So it's okay. As long as you're fighting Hitler, then it's okay. You can do whatever you want. We've already been through this. We know that it's okay. But this sparked off lots of conversation because, Antifa, that's not a black group, is it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and you end up with all these posts showing all the members of Antifa, and you'll see a black face in them.
Not a single one.
When you see them out on the street, there's lots of blacks.
Where?
Well, most of the Antifa people I've seen, including, I'm sorry, I'm thinking Black Lives Matter.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, so then there was this conversation about, so Trump was, of course, he's criticized Antifa, and I think this Don Lemon comment sparked some back and forth about, is it a black organization or not? Doesn't matter, because CNN analyst Jeffrey Toobin,
he's off the rails.
I'd say.
Let's be clear also about what's going on here. The theme here is, I'm Donald Trump, and I'll protect you from the scary black people.
There we go.
Antifa is widely perceived.
That's why everybody voted. I'm afraid of the scary black people. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Jeez. It's really insulting.
I'm Donald Trump, and I'll protect you from the scary black people. Antifa is widely perceived as an African-American organization, and this is just part of the same story of LeBron James and Don Lemon and Maxine Waters and the NFL players and the UCLA basketball players. This is about black versus white. This is about Donald Trump's appeal to racism, and it just happens all the time, and we never say it, or we don't say it enough for what it is, but that's what's going on.
Well, what do you think, Ron?
Well, look, I don't just. But I would frame it more broadly. I mean, I think, Trump basically has portrayed himself from the beginning as kind of the last line of defense for his supporters against all the forces that he suggests are trying to take America away from them. And sometimes it is coastal elites, like his attack on Google this morning, and sometimes, often, it is minority leaders, like all the attacks that Jeffrey mentioned. The key, though, is, and what he said to the evangelical leaders really fits into this, I think, is that he is presenting himself, in effect, as a wartime president for red America. Only the war is largely against blue America. I mean, we've had presidents who've been accused of slighting voters outside of their base before. Trump, I think, really is the first one who actively kind of tries to demonize the voters and the parts of the country outside of his base as a way of consolidating and mobilizing his own supporters. A division is essential. It is integral to his entire strategy. And, of course, the price on that is it puts enormous pressure on the less partisan piece of the Republican coalition, mostly white-collar suburbanites, and that is where they face the greatest risk this fall among the very voters who we were talking about before in the last segment, who kind of look at what's happening and say, this is just too much chaos for me. I want some more checks and balances.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I don't know, Ron. I'm thinking it's just black people and brown people.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's about, and, yours is a very sophisticated.
Well, I'm insulted now. How about those ugly yellow people, Toobin? How about the stupid red people? Only black and brown? Come on, the president's more racist than that.
I don't know, Ron. I'm thinking it's just black people and brown people. I think that's what it's about, and, yours is a very sophisticated analysis, but I think it's just as ugly as it can be, and let's not forget, Donald Trump became a politician by making up a racist lie about the first African-American president.
But have you ever heard...
Look, it's a central part of it, Jeffrey, but it's not all of it, because
do you remember,
he does also do the media...
I was just going to say, Jeffrey, you remember a time when a president warned of violence on the streets if his party loses?
No. Beats me. I can't remember it.
It's just off. That's bad. That's really bad. Hey, president just hates black and brown people.
Yeah, it's simple.
Yeah, very obvious. And why would you think any different? Jeffrey Tubin seems to be completely convinced. And with him, I'm sure millions. Sad.
Well, I don't know how many, except for the people that promote these clips, you. I don't know how many people have ever heard that. It's just like,
hey, the people who aren't watching Home and Garden TV, watch CNN. We all know this.
I think, Home and Garden TV is a humiliation to these networks. People, if you don't know this, people out there, Home and Garden TV is a huge money-making bonanza, very popular, classic cable TV. It's just a cable network, and it totally annihilates
CNN's ratings
and everybody else.
Yeah. Well, you
I'd
heard.
rather watch that. Well, who wants to watch these guys? Every time I turn on CNN, it's just they have no balance whatsoever.
No,
it's just how much more can I hate? I'm not going to say just Trump. Trump is a big part of it, but no, how much more can I hate all Republicans? And conservatives? Trump being their leader is the worst, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But how much more can I hate on these people? So you have to mark it.
Yeah.
And now they got to the point where hating on whites. I hate whites too.
Yeah.
Well, you are white, Bill. Yeah, I'm white, but I hate that I'm white. I wish I wasn't white.
Have you seen the hashtag verified hate on Twitter? You should look at that.
I have looked at the verified hate site, and the verified hate guy, people should look at that, has done a lot of research, and he goes back years. I don't know where he's getting some of these things.
Well, he's getting them from tweets mainly. He's mainly finding tweets from people who are verified by Twitter.
Yeah, he's found all the verified. Here's what I'm going to go off on this one. He's found probably hundreds of thousands of hate tweets, but they're mostly whites suck. Whites should die.
Kill white.
Kill whites. Kill whitey. Whitey
kill
should
Trump.
Die.
There's a lot of kill Trump in there too.
Kill Trump. Kill whitey. Kill this. Kill that. And the thing that gets me, because he's got this thing, it's a whole. I'm surprised Twitter hasn't taken it down.
Yeah, but this is the whole point. Is you got to understand that they don't have algos. They rely on people reporting, and people don't report these tweets, of course. So that's why Twitter's not finding him.
Well, here's what gets me about it. I have seen verified check marks on people with 35 followers.
Yeah.
The name is Kai or Eat Dog or something like that. People I've never heard of. I don't know if they're rappers or anybody that's – and you're not verified.
Yeah. They hate
Adam
me.
Curry, one of the original VJs at MTV, a very famous person.
I'm a bot. I'm not real.
And you're not verified, but when you go to the Verify Hate site and start looking at the people that are pushing these hate tweets, mostly hate whitey tweets, let's be honest about it, there's a bunch of flakes. I've never heard of half of these people, and they all have a verified check mark.
Yeah, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I should tweet something hateful about white people. Maybe I'll get verified.
I hate being white. Now, does anybody really think that this is a way to get – you have to remember that over 70% of the population of the United States considers themselves white. Many of them are Jewish. Many of them are Hispanics of Spanish descent. But they consider themselves white. So what is the benefit to the Democratic Party to alienate these people if they want to get in office? And what is the benefit to the news media to alienate 70% of the United States by hating on whitey?
Well, first of all, I disagree with you.
What's the benefit? I just want to know what the benefit is.
Well, I think you're wrong. I think that there is a large percentage of the 70% that agrees. I'm the problem.
Yeah, there are people that have actually tweeted
a lot,
that.
John. A lot.
I'm the problem. Well, they're idiots. I mean, they're fools. So Jay's fiance, he is taking a course in understanding modern pop culture.
Okay, they teach that? Interesting.
Yes, and the book, he shows me the book, it's a Marxist tome. It's talking about Karl Marx.
I'll bet.
And then they tell me, he says, apparently in all these colleges, I don't know if it's true of the University of California, I don't think you need to do this, but all these major colleges, or minor colleges and little colleges, all have a requirement for a social justice class that you must take.
Well, that's how we know this, is because that's what the big endowments, they all have something attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody's taking social justice, and it's like these students can't say anything in the class, and so they kind of talk amongst themselves after class, and they shake their heads. They're very unhappy with the course, with these courses, because they're not learning anything.
Mm-hmm. They are. They're learning bad things.
Well, they're learning. I don't know what to say, bad, as opposed to learning nothing. But I just found it to be peculiar.
Well, they're learning about the patriarchy, about the white patriarchy that has messed everything up and made America a horrible place. That's what I read in the course books. And colonialism, I think, is how they describe it. Colonialism.
Yeah, it's very old-fashioned. I mean, this is like stuff that would have been taught in the 30s. Yeah. It's extremely old-fashioned. I think it's easy to – I think they're making a mistake. Yes, there was a recent poll, in fact, I think, which kind of implies this. Let's play these two clips, and I'll get back to my point.
Okay.
This is some polling results, CBS college women.
Hold on, I lost my mouse. Yeah, got it.
And Anthony Salvanto is our Director of Elections and Surveys, and he's here today with a batch of new poll numbers from the CBS News Battleground Tracker. So, Anthony, what has changed this summer?
The Democrats have moved into a stronger position to take back the House. We had them earlier this summer getting just over that magic number of 218. That's the number of seats you need to take the House. Here we have them inching up to 222. But I need to caution here, there's a margin of error around that, like there is with any poll on this estimate. And that margin of error still has a range where the Republicans could still hold the House. There are scenarios where that happens. And what I want to emphasize is within that estimate, all these districts are very close. And we're looking at very small swings among these voters. Just a few more Republican women who are a little bit hesitant.
Ooh, sounds like we need to advertise more towards women.
To say that they're going to back the Republican candidate. A lot of enthusiasm among Democrats, but some who haven't voted before. And so there's a lot of moving parts still here underneath that edge towards the Dems.
You mentioned women as a voting block. They don't all go in the same direction. But you are starting to see a real shift in how women are voting this election.
Yeah, one of the biggest breaks is if you look at the college, non-college difference. And we started to see this in the last presidential election. And in these districts, it's really important. There's a double-digit edge for Democrats among women with college degrees here. And they also tell us that they're more likely to say their vote is, as you heard in your panel, a vote against the president. And that's different from men who are more inclined to say they're voting in support of the president. And I should emphasize, these battleground districts are battlegrounds because they have relatively more college graduate women in them. So by definition, that's part of what's going on.
Isn't this just the mainstream, again, trying to get people to do political advertisements by saying it's close and it's it wouldn't take much?
That's always an element, but they can't do that with vapid reporting that doesn't have any substance whatsoever. Oh. Well, I could be wrong about that, but in this case, I think they're right. They had a couple of points in here you have to read between the lines. One was the college-educated women. And then they say people who've never voted before. So we're talking about young college-educated women that are providing these outrageous numbers on the side of the Democrats because they're the ones coming out of these courses in these colleges. These minor
ready
colleges.
To go, good to go. They've been programmed and they have their pencil.
Brainwashed to be. All the colleges are doing it, brainwashing kids to be Democrats, at least out of the chute.
Yeah.
And if you know, the baby boomers.
And more importantly, discouraging any kind of discourse about it in school.
Yes, no discussion. You're going to go vote Democrat, get out of school, get your degree, Here you go. Kick you out. Boom. You can't get a job because you're an idiot, but go on, get out there and vote Democrat. That's all we care about. And that's what they're doing in these colleges. And you can name the schools. Almost every, not the big universities. There's a little, although I would say Yale.
I think the big universities are doing this too.
I was gotten into a discussion about this. Well, not the big, because I'm, from a big university. I'm the type to go, the big universities, they don't do that crap. Although they do. And he pointed out that
you went to Berkeley. You went to Berkeley where there were riots.
Yeah, well, I know, Berkeley is all that crap, but it's done differently.
It's done with fire.
Yale's the best example. He points out because they're the ones who kick these people out for using the word master.
Yeah.
You can't have a master class anymore because that's not a post-racial way to look at things.
Oh, good use.
And you end up with a bunch, and that's all that's going on. It's a Democrat mill. They've created this system, and a lot of these kids, and I'd say many of them, snap out of it after a decade, and they start looking at the facts, and they say, "Well, wait a minute, I've been lied to this whole time." And by the way, this is like a smoker. When smokers, stop smoking, they become adamant.
Douchebags.
They become nuts.
Tell me about it.
What they're going to end up with is a population of disillusioned Democrats who are going to turn conservative or Republican or whatever, and they're going to be so mad. They're never going to relinquish they're going to not even become free thinkers. They're just going to be knee-jerk Republicans. And it's all because they created with these lies that we try to uncover. Mm-hmm. They created this horde of Democrat students coming out of college. They're just going to vote Democrat because it's the only way to go.
Yeah, I went to see my voodoo doctor, Dr. Ron, for my applied kinesiology.
Yeah.
And I love doing that. He's like pushing down in my hand. Yeah, you need this. This is good. This is not so good. And do a little acupuncture. And I said, so what's the patient load like these days? What do you get? And he said, I'm seeing a lot of stress. Really? A lot of adrenal issues, which is, directly related to the amygdala. Because, people have a lot of adrenal issues, tons of stress, more than normal. And I understand. You know what you get from this? You get really bad illnesses. When people are this frustrated, your body will start to eat itself. Sometimes we call it cancer. It's very unhealthy.
Well, there's more than a few ailments that fall into the category of your body turning on itself.
Yeah, I'm just pulling out one we all understand. Because I think that's a big part of it.
This is a creation. It's artificial. The media has been feeding it, and it's all to just feed the Democrat Party need for votes because they can't get votes on the issues. They can't get votes on the issues. They can get votes by calling people racists or idiots or red-faced dumb screw-ups or whatever you want to do to Cheeto head. Cheeto head. I'm not voting for him. And it's like you
damn Cheeto head.
And which is a hateful way of doing things. They're in trouble.
Yeah.
And I will bring this up. This is an obscurity, but I'm not unsubscribing to the idea, which is what talk show host Rush Limbaugh has been promoting. His thesis is that what's going to happen in these midterms is not going to be what anybody expects because the Republican base is getting so annoyed with the coverage that they're going to come out in droves.
It may be.
Right. Generally speaking, the Republican, any party on the off years, they just stay home because we got our guy in.
When is the last time that a party had the three branches and kept it during the midterms? That seems
I don't
rare.
Know. There's no time I remember. Maybe once.
That seems rare.
Once during Clinton, maybe once during Reagan. But yeah, it seems very rare. But in this case, his theory is that this is all backfiring, which is kind of my thesis.
I'm sorry, three branches and the press, I should have said. What am I thinking?
They pushed this hate Trump agenda in the election that got him elected, and now they're continuing to push it. It didn't work the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where we're.
What's the second clip you have on this?
This is the follow-up. Yeah, play it.
That's happening. Historically, and I know Anthony talks about this, you expect about 30 seats to be lost for the president's party in power. What the president's trying to do is defy history and basically say, can I nationalize my local Trump voters to support a local candidate? If he can do that and get out to all those states he wants to get to those last 30 days, that changes this from a referendum, which it normally is on the president's policies and his character, to a nationalized election saying that we fear open borders, we have a strong economy, you have to be patient and wait for the long-term effect.
And that's been the challenge. Leslie brings up a really good point about who's more motivated to vote in this election. Mm-hmm. And we've been seeing in all these special elections for the House, Democrats have been outperforming their traditional vote percentage. They have been turning out at a higher percentage. And my colleague looked at the last special election in Ohio, where you have a great combination. This is around the Columbus suburbs and the more rural parts of Ohio. In the Columbus suburbs, where you're going to see a lot of these voters like we saw here in suburban Virginia, they turned out at about 60% of their 2016 average. Okay, so they were turning out at a very high rate for a special.
Are we going to go through this again where it's all going to be 95% blue wave certainty? It's just not going to pan out. I mean, when will it stop? When?
Election. In the very Trump rural parts of the district. Remember, Trump went into this district and campaigned. The vice president went into this district and campaigned. They only turned out at 40%. Yeah. So there is also a limit. And I think there was one voter in there, I can't remember her name, who mentioned about, I'm going to vote for, I'm a Republican, but I'm going to vote for a Republican, but I really don't like Congress, right? And that's really the challenge is Trump's success was based on the fact that he trashed all of Congress, including Republican members of Congress, right? He spent most of 2017 attacking Mitch McConnell, attacking the ineptness of the Republicans in Congress to pass an Obamacare repeal. Now to go back into those voters and say, I know you like me and you like that I shake it up, but I need you to vote for these establishment hacks in Congress that I keep attacking. That's a very difficult thing to do.
Who is this person? And let me say something.
One of the many lefty analysts on PBS.
Let me just say, have you seen Katie Tur recently? We were just talking about this being very unhealthy. Have you seen Katie Tur? She's sick. She's sick.
She looks like crap. I agree.
She's sick. There's something wrong with her. She's sick, and she wrote a book. You'll recall a book, and this was the one, and this was her future, and then I think she got really overshadowed by the stupid what's that douchebag's book? Remember, Fire and Fury or whatever that was discredited the minute it came out. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the douchebag. And so that overshadowed her real book. And I think she's so mad it's making her ill. And I would like to recommend that she take a leave of absence.
Well, she was given a gig at MSNBC full time to do her own daily show. And this and all they run through is just hate on all these shows with analysis that backs it up, and it creates this, a lot of it doesn't make sense, but okay, let's just keep doing this. And I think it's that show that's killing her.
Yeah, well, it's MSNBC. It's the building, probably.
I mean, the only person that really thrives at MSNBC and looks healthy
is Rachel.
Yes, Rachel. Yeah. She's very healthy looking. She's just all in. She's like the devil.
Nothing can hurt her.
She's having the time of her life. She's number one. She's kicking butt.
She's not number one. She's number two. Yeah.
Who's number one?
Hannity. Can you believe that? If you lose to Hannity?
I thought Rachel was number one.
No. Hannity is number one. Number one.
Well, it was traditionally O'Reilly.
Yeah.
And so they could fend her off by putting O'Reilly opposite her, but they lost him because of mismanagement.
Yeah, I think it's
the fact that O'Reilly's a jerk.
I think it's Hannity and then Tucker or Rachel. I think they're neck and neck.
Rachel is either one or two, but last time I looked, she was number one. But she gets a big audience and she's having the time of her life. She's very. But I don't see how anybody who's actually trained. I mean, she's really a radio personality is what she's always been.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone who's really trained in journalism and objective reporting can sustain themselves in that environment. I think you're right. She doesn't look right. She doesn't look sick.
No, Katie looks sick, and I am worried. I'm worried about a lot of people. I don't mind that they have different thoughts, but it's really going to make a lot of people sick, and and people like, well, Rachel, I think is good that she's in it and she's healthy, because the minute she starts to go down, she'll take a lot of people with her. This is contagious. It's just my thought.
So then this is based. Let's back up. We have to remember that this whole line of thinking was based on your visit to the chiropractor.
Yeah, well, and I'm just giving you what he said. He said, I'm seeing a lot of stress issues, a lot of adrenal gland problems.
Now, what I always like to point out is, why is there a lot of stress? Is it because the traffic is too busy because things are going well, or you got a new job? I mean, what is going on that is creating this stress? Objectively, what can you point to?
Oh, well,
that
the
Trump's
fact
president?
that
I mean, so what?
No, that Hitler is president, and he's pro the Nazis who are against the white Black Lives Matter Antifa people. Yes, that's what's going on. People really believe that he's Hitler. You can't just say this over and over again and not have someone pick up on it. I mean, we laugh because we've been around. We're also old. So we're like, They said this of Bush, and I'm sure they said of Nixon.
Bush was the Antichrist.
He was the Antichrist. He was also Hitler at some point. So, we've heard this. We've heard this, but people are not prepared. They have no idea what's happening to them. Fine.
Well, especially with the kind of brainwashing they're getting in school. The school systems, both high school, I'd say it starts at grammar school, high school, and college now, which I never thought was going to get as bad as it's gotten. But they're just pushing out people that are just dumb.
Well, we'll be talking more about this and the purge after we thank a few people for helping keep our show on the rails. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage.
Before you thank me, I should mention that at 10:20, I believe, I'm going to check it out. We had a nice little earthquake here.
Oh,
that made me wonder if we're going to go off the air.
How nice? How little was it? And why didn't you mention it?
I'm on a big rock, so the thing, it's hard to tell it from here. But it was enough that I noticed it.
Yeah. You okay? You feel okay? Do you think we can thank people, or do we have to wait?
Well, I was thinking that we could probably wait a second while I kind of come down from this earthquake high, and then I can maybe.
And he's got the spreadsheet open. Yes, with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage to say in the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for college, non-college, Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning to ships at the sea and the feet in the air and the subs in the water. And all the dames and nights out there.
And we say in the morning to our troll room at noagendastream.com. Good to have you guys there. As always, let me see how many people are listening with us. Let's see. We can check this. No, I guess I'm not allowed to check it. 933. Well, little under. Normally have about 1,000 for our Thursday show.
It sounded like it started off rocky.
It's my karma. I also want to say in the morning to Conan Salata. He brought us the artwork for episode 1063. We titled that one Fraternity. And this was, only if you listened to the show would you understand this artwork. It was great. It was a bunch of millennials sitting around having brunch with kinetic sand. And that fit perfectly in that particular episode. And we actually looked up kinetic sand, which is sand that's fun and easy to play with, which is what you need these days.
It's the new kind of sand.
It's the new sand. It's post-racial.
It's better than old sand.
It's post-racial sand is what it is. It's really nice. And I want to thank Conan and then, of course, thank all of our artists who diligently upload to noagendaartgenerator.com as part of our value network, and we really appreciate it. One of our producers, I think he tweeted out that, maybe it was on Mastodon, that he, on noagendasocial.com, that professionally, some form of dude named Ben Job, he sees tens of thousands of podcast feeds, and he says only about 25 of all that he's seen change their artwork regularly out of tens of thousands, and we're one of them.
25? There's that many?
Yeah. Apparently, there's some other smart people out there. Yeah.
Huh. That surprises me.
So we appreciate it. Thank you, artists.
We do have a few people to thank, starting with Anonymous, $567.08. He says, cold read. Okay. All I want is John and Mimi signed picture. Okay, I got to put you on a separate list. Incredible. Like no agenda, I donated anonymously instantly. 10K goes easy. Love you guys. About that, stay committed.
No real conflict.
About that, stay committed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. All right, Anonymous. Thank you. John, make sure you send out that picture.
I'm going to have trouble with this one because I think I sent him a note. Yeah, I think I maybe sent him a note. Because I need his address. Some anonymous donation doesn't help. Kevin McLean, Port St. Lucie, Florida, $500. And I looked him up and couldn't find a note or anything.
Huh.
So
I don't have anything either, as far as I can tell.
Okay, well, just give Kevin some karma.
We can always do a little bit of karma. Here we go.
You've got karma.
Aaron Christensen in Frankfurt on Main in Deutschland, 387.75. Deutschlander. In the morning, gents, I heard about No Agenda about a year and a half ago, and I decided it's time to donate. I know you have a plan for knighthood whereby Aussies can, he's an Aussie in Deutschland, where Aussies can join the round table for $1,000 ruse. Oh. Yeah, if you're in Australia, not if you're in Germany, making, actually, we should ask €1,000 euros. In one episode, you mentioned this also works for euros. Yeah, 1,000 euros. I've started on the path. Okay, well, this is better. This is good news. On the path to Euro knighthood, which is a bonus knighthood, although it might not be for long. Since I live in Frankfurt, with this donation of $333.33, I wanted to get started. Well, I'm still 33. Aha. As a tech millennial, I wanted to add a note about your criticisms of AI machine learning. It's basically statistics. Deep learning is where you take a bunch of data and let the computer find the statistical correlations on its own using a lot of algebra and a lot of CPU time. Turns out that computers are very good at this. After the computer creates a statistical model, it can be used to generate probable correlations based on sets of input. This works surprisingly well, and a computer-generated model trained on good data is often better at predicting correlations than a human. This technology is real and very impressive. It's what's behind software like image recognition, which has its moments of usefulness.
It has its moments, sure. Some of it.
The problem is that, by the way, I will say this. If Aaron seems to be into this, when you come up with your stock market AI that actually can find some correlations between what's going to happen to Tesla.
Yeah. Give us send us a note.
Send us a note. You'll be knighted instantly.
Yes.
The problem with this, humans try to do with it because the problem is what humans try to do with it because this technology is impressive. The current trend in AI is to attempt to shoehorn every problem into statistical modeling, and that doesn't work. Anyway, jingle request. You had that clip of the SJW screaming over and over. Then someone took it and put some really nice 70s kind of rock behind it.
I don't know what the hell this is, John.
There may have been some goat scream mixed in. Not sure. Anyway, what's that show for the end of show, if possible? And so we have to assume it's not.
I have no idea. What is this? Let me see. No, that's not it.
Is that social justice warrior there?
No,
maybe?
That's the Korean lady. I really don't know what it is.
Anyway, Aaron signs off, your American tech millennial in Frankfurt and future Euro night. All right.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe. Oh, I know what he's thinking. Maybe this.
We will build the wall. My idea.
No. I know what it is.
All right. Well, it's the end of the show. He wants to end the show.
Well, okay. No, I just wanted to make sure I get it. Let me just see if this is
okay.
it.
Well, try to.
This is Yoko.
I think that's what he's thinking of.
I think Yoko. Let's just listen.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, yeah, she's a social justice warrior, so let's just check and see if this is it. Hit it, Yoko! Yeah, okay. We'll play that as end of show.
Whatever.
You've got karma.
All right, Thomas Archduke Nussbaum, who needs his call out.
Yeah, see, I was so busy looking for the social justice warrior. All right, Nussbaum.
314-59.
That's probably what I do.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Working 14 to 16 hours a day, so not a lot of time for soups and such. Fort Worth is too hot.
Oh, it's been so hot in Texas. It's been hot here too.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's triple digits minimum every day.
Oh.
Yeah.
40 centigrade.
Something like that.
Lori Eigel, I think, in Dayton, Ohio. She drops down to associate executive producers with $200 donation in Dayton. Happy birthday to my loving husband, Jeff. Life is full for ups and downs, but definitely more ups with you by my side. For jingles, he would like Foamer, followed by Goat Scream. Also would like to call out our son, Just. He wants to call out their son, Justin, as a douchebag. No explanation.
Okay.
Maybe just a generalized douchebag, that poor kid.
I guess.
Justin, yeah.
Yeah.
Be nice.
You've got.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that goat!
Karma.
That's a new mix. But wait, we don't have that birthday on the list. So from Laura to Jeff. Okay. Lori to Jeff. And when does he celebrate?
No details.
Okay. All right. Eigel? We settled on Eigel?
I think Eigel would be good.
Yeah. Okay. Eigel to her husband. Okay.
Sounds too much like a Apple version of hair gel. The eye gel.
The eye gel. Yes.
Sir Mark Wilson and $200. Baron of Glasgow. The show has been fabulous as always. I'm dismayed at the levels of donations you received over the summer. Every summer it varies from summer to summer, but this was a bad one. Can I please have some jobs and flat hunting karma, as it seems I've been pretty short of luck lately. Best wishes, Sir Mark Wilson, Baron of Glasgow, in exile in London.
Yes, of course. I'd be happy to do that. Here you go.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Well, there's supposed to be an upcoming real estate crash in London, which should help him quite a bit.
Yeah, well, it's happening here too.
Yeah, well, it's about time.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, prices are definitely coming down here.
Good. Well, good.
Just in time for the zombies to arrive.
Send more homeless their way.
No, go away. Who's next?
That was it. That closes our segment of the associate and executive producers, and everything in between.
All right. Well, thank you very much, executive and associate executive producers. As you know by now, these credits are legit, and you can use them anywhere credits are accepted and recognized. LinkedIn seems to be working well for people who like jobs and the karma. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? You guys came up with it, and it does seem to work, so we appreciate that, and we'll be thanking more people, $50 and above, in our second segment. And remember, another show right here, Sunday. Support us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
And you've got to support us because we're like the little shop on the corner. Tell everyone about it.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
So the president leveled the playing field a little bit with his with everyone's with the general conversation about the purge on the social networks, and he brought Google into it.
I think what Google and what others are doing, if you look at what's going on at Twitter, if you look at what's going on in Facebook, they better be careful because you can't do that to people. You can't do it. We have literally thousands and thousands of complaints coming in, and you just can't do that. So I think that Google and Twitter and Facebook, they're really treading on very, very troubled territory, and they have to be careful. It's not fair to large portions of the population.
Now, here's what's interesting about this. Every deconstruction of his statement that I saw, and there were a couple of tweets that go along with that, they all focus on Google News. And I think what the president was saying is, if you type in Trump...
He's not focusing on Google News.
That's how it was taken by all of the media that I got
everything's
clips
about news. That's what they're just
yes.
It's about them.
Well, it was very interesting because everyone tried it. I'm sure you tried it. You type in Trump news, and if you have your suggestions on, you'll see what pops up. And if you hit go ahead search, you'll see what pops to the top. But everyone debunked his statement by saying, no, look, if you look at Google News, Fox News is even on top. So they're talking about, and I don't know how many people, I know I do it. You search for something and then you hit the news tab. Do you do that often?
I do it a lot.
I do it a lot too, but they seem to be thinking that this is just about the news page and not about a regular search. Here's Samuel Burke on CNN. Now, I wrote him down. What does he do? Samuel Burke, dude. Yeah, you just all of a sudden you get these people showing up. Who the hell is it? He is business and technology news correspondent for CNN. He anchors programs on both CNN International and CNN en Español. He hosts the iReport and anchors the Cyber Cafe daily. Well, let's listen to his deconstruction of it.
So, Samuel, why don't you give us a quick primer then on how Google does actually determine the search results when we type in a word like peppermint patty or something? I don't know.
Well, to be honest with you, we don't know all the details about Google News searches because it uses an algorithm.
See, he's talking about Google News searches now.
But we do know some of the details. It uses an algorithm, and all these companies want to protect their algorithms. But because we work in the news business and we want our articles to show up more, we know, and all outlets know this, not just HLN, CNN, Fox News. We all know this type of information, that if there are certain keywords you put in, it will do better in the Google News results. One thing that's very useful is if you're the person who breaks a story, if Michaela Pereira has this scoop and everybody's saying so-and-so told Michaela Pereira this in an interview, the original article where Michaela had this or the video, that will come up first. So it's a lot of times...
No, that's not true.
The best information that everybody is citing, not just CNN, the Associated Press, also Fox News and CNBC, that will come up. You can also make the results individual to you, and a lot of it has to do with location. They want to give you results in London that are different from what you might get in New York or LA. So a lot of it is location-based.
Yeah, it's a manipulation of the information based upon you. Okay, that makes sense. NPR.
I don't want my information based on my IP address. I use VPNs.
That's why you get
I'm not
Google
the only
Mexico.
One that uses them.
You get Google
Tens
Mexico.
Of thousands of people use them, and so why do they assume that I'm in Mexico?
I know.
Canada, I'm in New York. I'm not in Florida when I'm not.
Because you're not playing along with the program.
What program?
The program
I was never
is
told that I have to
use your own IP. No VPNs.
It's not my social security number.
You're a bad user. Here's NPR saying the same thing.
But tell us more about what Google and the industry are saying about the charge of suppressing conservative media.
Sure. So Google is saying that, look, they don't incorporate political leanings into their search results. And that's probably true. If you look at Google News results, which...
Again, Google News results.
Is what Trump specifically is talking about.
No, I don't think that's not what he's talking about.
A recent research came out last month that says, actually, they are pretty mainstream. They stick with, if anything, they over-index for large publications like the New York Times and CNN, which, of course, if you're Trump, means fake news. But in general, these are just mainstream reputable reputations that Google News leans.
Oh, they're mainstream reputable reputations. This is new. I think he meant to say publications.
In general, these are just mainstream reputable reputations that Google News leans
reputable reputations
on primarily.
And we know search results aren't the same for everyone because you've got your past search requests. It's an algorithm that can build.
That's right. Although I would say what's interesting about Google News is that people actually do get a fairly uniform set of results, whether you are liberal or conservative. I think Google has intentionally made this sort of a more neutral playing field, which I think is important. And when you look at the possibility of regulation or a possible response from Google, the worry becomes, does Google end up just turning Google News into yet another filter bubble, like Facebook news feeds have become for so many people?
These guys are so stupid. Here they have the opportunity to pile jump onto their actual competitor. I mean, Google is taking their lunch. They are taking money.
Yeah, but I'm going to stop you right there and say, I'm going to want you to continue, but I want to have this thought thrown out. What are they thinking?
Yes.
Google is, and Facebook probably even more so than Google.
I'll give Twitter too. Twitter is news.
And Twitter to a lesser extent are competitors.
Yes.
And if they're getting beat down, why are you coming to their defense? They are going to put you
out of business.
Out of business.
It's so stupid. I mean, this is a fantastic opportunity. And you heard the other guys, oh, well, we know how to get the SEO going, so, it goes to the top. No, these are very simplistic thinkers. It's a head shaker. They should be all over this.
They're clueless. Our American media, even in Europe, when I think it's kind of dumb to tell Google not to track you, or, if you're a newspaper, I don't want to be indexed. I think there's some stupidity to that, but at the same time, if you're looking at them as competitors, you might want to
make some noise about it. Yeah. Well,
but these guys are so dumb, and I've said this before in columns. I put this in about every once in a while. I give them a needle by saying, our mainstream media, in particular, the big shots, the guys who are looking at everything, and they make the big money. They make millions of dollars per year to do this. Many of them make tens of millions. And nobody predicted that they were going to get borderline wiped out by the internet.
Yeah.
They just didn't see it. Because they're terrible at their job.
Yeah, there you go. Here's NPR taking this one step further. I thought for an outfit like NPR, I expected better.
President Trump is again attacking Alphabet's Google, Facebook, Twitter, and other tech companies, accusing them of trying to silence people.
Well, I think that Google and Facebook and Twitter, I think they treat conservatives and Republicans very unfairly.
Addressing reporters at the White House today, Trump also made an unsubstantiated statement that the company's activities may be illegal. He's targeting the tech giants after they recently announced they'd identified and shut down fake pages or accounts linked to Russia and Iran that appear to be spreading misinformation about politics or policies.
So there's NPR basically saying, oh, he did this because he wanted to distract from some other bad news.
Oh, yeah.
But
instead of arguing the point,
but listen, but not just bad news, but that the Russian bots that he, of course, is all for have been busted. I mean, listen again. This is low for NPR. Let me see. Let me rack this up again.
President Trump is again attacking
Hold on. Here we are.
He's targeting the tech giants after they recently announced they'd identified and shut down fake pages or accounts linked to Russia and Iran that appear to be spreading misinformation about politics or policies.
I mean, that's low.
Yeah, no, they did the association right. You're right. That was a good catch.
That's not journalism. I mean, why don't you just say, he's clearly. Why don't you lower yourself even lower to MSNBC and just say he's doing it to distract? Because they just say it. They're not trying to be pussyfoot around it like NPR. That's disgusting.
And by the way,
not journalism.
I'm always tempted to write about this, although you have to really do a little more research than I'm willing to do. If you look at the child pornography laws, there are provisions about storing these photos and keeping them or whatever you're doing. How come these large operations that store photos for free online, or like Tumblr, for example, has a lot of very, very lewd photos in its archives? How come somebody doesn't bust these guys, these big companies that are storing these horrible photos?
Well, not just storing, but they're identifying them. We know from the Facebook video reviewer interview in the Dutch newspaper that they're seeing this stuff. Are they also reporting it?
There you go.
I mean, Are they reporting it? Or are they just saying, "Oh, no good, get rid of it"? Or are people getting picked up for this? You would hope so.
You'd hope so, but I doubt it. It's too much work. If I've got a wide open system and I've just let the thing go nuts, and people are uploading all sorts of illegal material by today's standards and by today's laws, and many of the laws are very harsh, and my system is filled to the brim with them.
Mm-hmm.
How come I'm not taken to jail?
Because you're Google. I don't know. You get a pass. You get a pass. Here's a different question that I saw raised. Facebook and Google are both, and Twitter, I don't know, but Facebook and Google are both government contractors. Right? They have government contracts.
And plenty of them.
Well, that puts certain responsibilities on them. And I don't know if they segregate this out by business units or maybe by calling yourself Alphabet and moving Google over somewhere else. But you can't just suppress speech if you're a government contractor. So I believe certain laws start to apply to you if you are, in fact, a contractor. You're partially the government.
Maybe.
Is there anything to that?
I don't know. I never thought of that.
I was just like, oh, that's interesting.
We got lawyers out there. Maybe some of them can give some insight into this.
For sure, though, we saw the first. I was kind of waiting for this to happen. The mob kicked someone off of Mastodon. So, for those of you who do not know, there's a decentralized social network. It stemmed, I think, originally from GNU Social, and now you have it's a protocol, and many different types of community servers can speak this, and so you can follow people all over the world.
It's like a Twitter, decentralized Twitter.
Yeah, decentralized Twitter, where the only person who can kick you off is the person whose server you're on. Or, of course, if you're on a server that doesn't want to be bothered by KKK Nazi quadroons, you can block the entire other server, which I think is the way it should go. But we had a celebrity move away from Twitter, leave Twitter, and go to the Federation, as we call it, the Federation of Social Networking Space. Will Wheaton.
Yes. Where did he quit Twitter?
He quit Twitter. Went. He already had an account on Mastodon. He started posting again, and the mob. I think it might have been a Mastodon.social. The mob.
So you mean the mob, insofar as the public, not the mafia?
No, the mob, the online mob.
Yeah,
they just started reporting him over and over again until the administrator said, "Hey, man, I can't deal with this anymore. I got to kick you off the server." So they're kicking people off there too. It's great. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Now he has options.
Call that kind of thing, that pressure. It's not doxing. That's a different thing.
No. Well, but this
is be a name for doing something like that to someone.
Well, yeah, it's called the power of the people, which I'm still baffled. The only people who figured this out are Media Matters, the New Outfit, Sleeping Giant. They understand that as long as you're dealing with a corporation whose customers is not you, whose customer is someone else, whose customer is advertisers, mainly advertisers, that you can force them to do almost anything you want. And I am.
Why don't we just quit this and do that?
I'm telling you, I am in awe of what some of these guys do. If you've seen I'm sure you've seen the Soros Media Matters social media censorship document that was been floating around. And this was the plan all along. And David Brock, you know what? Kudos to this guy. They figured it out. They figured it out.
Figured it out.
I mean, you look at what Sleeping Giants is doing. They're very smart. So, and of course, a lot of these ads show up on places because of ad networks. In fact, most of them do. There's not a lot of direct placements on Breitbart. But the minute an ad shows up in rotation, they start tweeting en masse to the advertiser saying, hey, do you know that you're showing up on Breitbart? Here's how you can stop it. And they all reply the same way. Oh, gee, thanks for bringing it to us attention. We'll take care of it right away. But that's just minor. That's minor stuff. Look at the. Someone sent me a backup or the background story of the NASCAR sponsorship of Lilly Diabetes. So
yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, what is the background on that?
Okay,
that's good. Let's tell people what it is again.
This is from Zach Brown. He says, I'm glad to hear you discuss the incident involving Connor Daly on the show. I wanted to let you know, while you discussed the most ridiculous part of the story, you left off two parts that lead up to Connor losing his sponsorship from Eli Lilly. Here it is. The entire event started last week when the local play-by-play caller for the Indianapolis Colts, Bob Lamey, retold a story about an IndyCar driver in the 80s that dropped the N-word while being interviewed. Bob told the story while at work to a few fellow co-workers. The problem was he told the story actually using the word, and one employee who was uncomfortable about it told HR. The Colts then forced Lamey to retire. When the news broke that the story was linked to local racing news analyst Derek Daly as being the guy he talked about using the N-word in the story, they fired Daly, and Daly stated when he used the word he was describing himself, but it doesn't matter. At the time he was from Europe, and he said it didn't have the same racial undertones like in America. Poor excuse. So you got to add that to now his kid, his sponsorship for his car being lost after something his dad said 30 years earlier. So really 3 people out of a job. Well, not the driver. But I mean,
well, he's kind of out of a sponsorship.
Yeah, but all you got to do is just, because no one wants to be involved in it. Eli Lilly's like, we don't want to be involved, so we just pull our sponsorship. There is so much power.
Take a chance?
There is so much power that you're right. If we quit this, we took our mailing list and we said, all right, everyone, here's what we're going to do today. And we could just go after firm. It's like the digital version of the Al Sharpton racket. And it works. And you know what? If Republicans are interested in doing anything, they should stop bitching and moaning about it being unfair and see if they can float some stuff the other way. Yeah, set up shop.
Now, this reminds me of 2 other issues. San Francisco's poop problem.
They got a problem?
They have a poop map. So everyone's pooping in San Francisco. So now some store owners are paying people not to poop anywhere near their store.
Oh, excellent gig.
And to take it one step further.
Anybody can participate in this.
Now, to take it one step further, the idea, and that this is partially my idea, but I think it's also has to be happening anyway. I'm just thinking it's logical. You pay these guys who are public poopers to go poop in front of your competition store. Hey, I see you pooping there. Or just go around the city. See you pooping all over the place. Hey, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to give you $20, and I want you to go poop in front of Macy's, especially the front door. Just go poop there. And if you do that, I'll give you $20 a week if you keep doing it.
That's got to be happening.
If you get anybody to help you, like they're going to poop, I'll give them 10. So just everybody go poop out in front of Macy's, and you make some money on the side.
I don't know if Macy's
anyway.
I don't know if Macy's could do much worse. I don't think the poop will make people go in.
Lightweights.
What do you mean lightweights?
No. San Francisco's got them. They got RVs. They got trailers. They got people living in their cars. They got people on the streets. They living in tents. They're shooting up. It's unbelievable.
Hundreds of thousands of homeless eating from garbage cans in America. Woo!
And pooping on the streets in San Francisco.
And then there's nothing better when you're pooping on the streets in San Francisco.
Calling out around the world. Be careful where you put your feet.
Did you hear that song? We played it at end of show mix. I love that song. Pooping in the streets.
Very funny. Now I have a native ad, which I think kind of fits into this little.
Well, we're done with it. We're done with this. I guess so.
That's all I needed, was just to say that there's a funny idea.
Right. Well, I was just going to go back to the whole purge and just wrap that up, and just say that there's still, I guess, is it Warner still floating? Warner still floating as regulations, trying to hold that in front of them. But the tech giants had a secret meeting at Twitter headquarters, and I think
supposedly, I don't believe anyone went to this meeting, but I suppose some people would go.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you're like the CEO, your Page or one of these guys, or Tim Cook, and you're working you're down in Cupertino, you're going to haul your butt up to this meeting
to the poop street. No,
you're not
right.
going. It's like you got other things to do.
Who leaked that then? Who put that out there? What do you think that was about? Was it Twitter just being hopeful? BuzzFeed.
Maybe it was to make it seem that something's going on, or we're concerned. I have no idea. Maybe
I got it here. BuzzFeed News first reported on the meeting after obtaining an email sent by Facebook's head of cybersecurity policy inviting a dozen companies to meet at Twitter's headquarters. Okay, it was low level. All right. Well, they're not going to do anything. But I will say, what is the response going to be when it doesn't matter who wins or who loses? It'll be Russian bots. It'll be some version of their fault. Don't you think?
Oh, maybe. It's not going to leave the building for a while. Let's put it that way. Anyway, let's get back to this native ad that I found. What I think was the most egregious ever.
You'd think it would say native ad.
Yes, but I'm going to give you the cue, and I'm glad it doesn't because I don't want you playing it yet because it needs to be set up. ABC News with David Muir is the one that I cite as constantly as the biggest violator of journalistic edict or integrity with these native ads they keep doing. But I've never seen one quite like this. I don't even have the whole ad. I got most of it. But this was a part of they have this thing at the end of all their news shows called Made in America. Oh, Made in America. Then they go highlight some company that's Made in America. Oh, there's the pillow guy and somebody's making sheet metal buckets.
MyPillow.com?
That guy. And so there'd be somebody with making galvanized buckets. Oh, it's Made in America. It's Made in America. It's Made in America. But I've never seen anything quite this promotional. David Muir goes into the field to discuss the thing, and the whole thing goes on and on and on. And then so I have some commentary to make about the whole thing because it's misleading. It just play this now.
You'll remember those commercials. They've been around a long time. But did you know the story behind this classic? You remember the ads and the challenge.
Bet you can't eat just one.
And we were up for it. With millions getting together this Labor Day weekend, we go right to the chip aisle. I know it well.
Hey, David. Chris, how are you? Great to meet you.
Good to see you, too. I'll go anywhere where I can get some chips.
Frito-Lay, Ruffles, Tostitos, and, of course, Lay's chips. Made with potatoes right here in America.
It's the classic, right?
Huh. Yes.
Which is why you call it the classic.
That's right.
An American classic from an American inventor, H.W. Lay. He was a traveling salesman during the Great Depression.
1931, he started peddling chips out of the back of his truck.
Seriously.
And
that's how he made a living.
It was.
Selling potato chips out of this Ford Model A. At the same time, C.E. Doolin had bought the recipe for another American classic, Fritos, and he started making them out of his mother's kitchen.
So he's making Fritos. H.W. Lay is making his chips. They're competing against one another, and who knew that they would combine?
That's right. That's how Frito-Lay became Frito-Lay. Those two of them joining forces together. 1961.
With a little hyphen in the middle.
That's right.
Workers on the line inspecting the chips, just 10 cents a bag back then. And all these years later, the potatoes still from farmers across America. 120 farms in 25 states. Black Gold Farms in Live Oak, Florida, among them.
My great-grandpa started growing potatoes in 1928. And we're potato people. We enjoy potatoes.
Those potatoes loaded and trucked 2.5 hours north to Perry, Georgia. 1,230 workers waiting to turn them into those famous Lay's chips. 30 plants in the U.S., and it turns out 4 to 5 potatoes go into every bag of chips.
My husband and I, we play a game in the grocery store.
Looking for Lay's chips in your shopping cart.
It keeps grocery shopping interesting for us.
While back at that grocery store,
we're going to have to put the camera on hold here.
So I'll sample them.
Time for the taste test. No one can eat just one, thanks to those farmers and those workers tonight.
Made in America!
Wow. It is impossible to eat just one. I tried.
Wow. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Well, it was I took a lot of spaces out. It was longer than 2 minutes. It was about 2:15. And it was a jaw dropper. This is Made in America. This is the shallowest made in America they've ever done, and it's an obvious just pre-Labor Day promotion for potato chips, and leading the public to believe that this idiot Lay was actually the guy who invented them.
Man.
And I do want to give the background on potato chips. So
well, first of all, we might also want to point out this is owned by Pepsi. Pepsi owns Frito-Lay. And this is just, I don't know, is this a make good or is this a setup or whatever? I think you're right.
A straight up native ad sold by the advertising department.
I agree. And I think you're right. It's a setup for Labor Day and get everybody into the mood. We got to buy some chips. Might as well get the Frito-Lay chips. Jeez. Oh. And sadly, it was just a dumb story. It wasn't even interesting.
And then they had some woman, they had to pat it with this woman saying, my husband, it's just some woman that works there. My husband and I play a game. We look for Frito-Lay bags in grocery carts.
Yes, that's a
kind
great
of a game you play. Is that what you're playing with your husband? You'll find something a little sexier. So let me just get a little background for people so they know what's going on. The potato chip.
We're getting the history of the potato chip.
Yeah, where do you think it was invented?
Germany.
I would think France.
But no. Chip patato? No.
Nope. Invented in 1817, by the way, not 1937 by this guy Lay, in UK. The earliest known recipe for something similar to today's potato chips is William Kitchener's cookbook, The Cook's Oracle, first published in 1817, which was a bestseller in England and the United States. I'd love to get a copy. The 1822's edition version of the recipe, 104, called potatoes fried in slices or shavings, and reads, and it gives the recipe.
So that was the original fish and chips, I guess?
No, chips were
French fries. Yeah.
Early recipes for potato chips in the United States are found in Mary Randolph's Virginia Housewife in 1824 and in N.K.M. Lee's Cook's Own Book in 1832, both of which explicitly cite Kitchener, so they give him credit. Now, so the story, a little side note. However, a legend associates the creation of potato chips with Saratoga Springs, New York, decades later. By the late 19th century, a popular version of the story attributed the dish to George Crumb, a half-black, half-Native American cook. At Moon's Lake House, he was trying to – I got to read this whole thing because it's got a punchline. Was trying to appease an unhappy customer on the 24th of August in 1853. The customer kept sending his French fried potatoes back, complaining that they were too thick, too soggy, and not salted enough. Frustrated, Crumb personally sliced several potatoes extremely thin, fried the potato chips to a crisp, and then seasoned them with excess salt. To Crumb's surprise, the customer loved them. They soon came to be called Saratoga chips, a name that persisted at least into the mid-20th century. A version of this story, popularized in a 1973 national advertising campaign by the St. Regis Paper Company, which manufactured the packaging for the chips, said that Crumb's customer was Cornelius Vanderbilt.
No.
What bull crap.
The more you know in the morning.
Oh, wow. I feel so schooled.
Yeah. You already know more than a college graduate coming out of one of these schools.
Yes. Well,
yes,
good. Since I don't have no. I don't have.
So that thing was disgusting. It was a disgusting story. I'm not going to buy Frito-Lay's potato chips.
Oh, boycotting. There you go. That's what we need. Now
boycotting, I'm just not going to buy them.
Now tell 20,000 of your friends, and we got power.
Yeah, well.
So this story, I'm very tired of hearing this. Since the inception of our show, this has been a topic in the news, and I don't understand why we just still kind of go, especially with all the pizza gators and everyone out there so concerned for children's welfare.
Archbishop Vigano, who you mentioned earlier, he was the nuncio, the ambassador to the U.S. for the Vatican here for about 5 years. He also ran all of the embassies around the world for the Vatican.
Well respected.
Before. Very well respected. Man of integrity, a sharpshooter, and a man who has been a whistleblower in the past. In 2011, he wrote secret letters to Pope Benedict at the time, outing corrupt corruption in the Vatican. Those were leaked and became the Vatileaks scandal. It was his exposés, meant only for the Pope's eyes, that got worldwide attention.
Why is he releasing this letter?
Well,
he's 77 years old.
He claims he wants to unveil his conscience. He can't go to his death with the information he has, and he sees the corruption and the double dealing in the Vatican. He's exposing it. His allegation, the principal one, is that between 2009 and 2010, Pope Benedict imposed a penalty on Archbishop McCarrick because he knew they had paid settlements to men that he had abused. He also took him out of public ministry. Now, when Pope Francis became Pope, Vigano claims he informed the Pope himself of McCarrick's misdeeds, and the Pope ignored this and restored McCarrick. We should put up the full screen. I want people to see this. This is a full screen from the letter of Vigano. Watch this. It says, Francis knew from at least June of 2013 that McCarrick was a serial predator.
What?
In an extremely dramatic moment for the Universal Church, he must acknowledge his mistakes, and in keeping with the proclaimed principle of zero tolerance, Pope Francis must be the first to set a good example for cardinals and bishops who covered up for McCarrick's abuses and resign along with all of them. He's calling for the Pope's resignation and for all of these people.
This is exploding all around the world.
It's
this
huge.
is coming on that big family meeting in Ireland, which was not well attended, by the way.
Yeah, at the family meeting in Ireland, apparently, according to reporting, and this is all over the Dutch press, Pope Francis said that children who show, quote, homosexual tendencies should be treated with understanding and not to be condemned or ignored.
Here's the Pope reacting to the news on a plane returning from that family conference in Ireland.
I read it, and I will say sincerely that I must say this to you and all of you who are interested. Read the document carefully and judge it for yourselves. I will not say one word on this. I think the statement speaks for itself.
I don't know, man. I mean, I picked the guy myself, so I feel bad, but it sounds like this is... here's the exact quote. When it shows itself from childhood, there is a lot that can be done through psychiatry to see how things are. If it is something else, if it shows itself after 20 years. There's a couple things we can do here, but maybe the church should just say, you know what? We're gay. And it's okay. You can be a spiritual leader and gay. Just stop the abuse. And of course it always comes out when it's past the statute of limitations. This is some evil crap that's going on. And where's the outrage?
Well, I can answer that question.
Okay.
Or I can answer it by asking you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Does it involve Trump?
No, of course. What am I thinking? Yeah. No, it's just this is for 10 years. This story has been continued. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah, I know.
And they don't do anything, and there's cover-ups, and it's obvious. And I just don't understand why this just continues to go. Can we just? I mean, this is our post-racial period. We should be
Trump.
Well, someone needs to bring Trump into the conversation. So
if Trump comes into the car, jumps into it stupidly, which could always happen.
Oh yeah, that would work.
Then boom, and then the story could take off. It'd get some legs, but.
But surely it's intelligent people see there's a flaw somewhere in this system. You can't get married. You've got to be celibate.
Well, while we're on the topic, let's discuss how that became. How did that celibacy become an element of the priesthood and the overall system?
I am dying to learn.
This happened to be researched by J.C. Buzzkill Jr. once at a dinner table conversation. He brought it up, and it turns out that back in the day, I guess before the celibacy, it never used to be celibacy, the church was riddled with so much nepotism. One pope would assign his brother as the next pope.
Right.
Everybody would be related. It was so out of control because the church was the center of everything, and it had so much money, and everything was nepotism, that they had to put a stop to it, and that was their solution.
So you can't have sex anymore. You can't procreate. That was the idea, because you can't have family. Really,
you can't have family to
What? Wait a minute. So this has nothing to do with God saying you got to dedicate yourself to me?
No, it has to do with the corruption of the early church.
Huh. Well, let's undo that.
We could.
The Pope could easily do that.
It's a different situation today because in today's church, if you didn't have the celibate stuff going on, any sort of corruption that once occurred in the past would be stopped by social media.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Pope, don't worry about it. It's all right. It's all good. Sosh Nets, they'll take care of it for you. And they should start their own, or at least a dating service. They got to do something. This is very troubling.
It's gone too far, and they have to.
It has gone too far. Now, on that, of course, this doesn't fall under #MeToo, although it should. We had another story.
Louis C.K.'s performance on Sunday night at a New York comedy club was just 15 minutes. His appearance unannounced. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. It was his first performance since being accused of exposing and touching himself in front of multiple women.
He was just like regular Louis.
The club owner says he made no mention of it in his act.
I do wish he had. I think it would have been much better for him. I think it would have taken some of the heat off of us.
In November, Louis C.K. admitted that the accusations of sexual misconduct were true. The response was swift. His deals with FX Network, Netflix, and HBO were canceled. Now the comedian and the New York club are facing criticism for his performance.
It's a very difficult position to be standing between a person and his livelihood.
I know that Me Too was supposed to destroy a lot of men's careers. It hasn't exactly. But what it didn't do is give women the opportunity to have careers.
Last May, one of Louis C.K.'s accusers, Rebecca Corey.
I'm not sure what. Well, we can listen to that again.
She's referring to the comic, I think the women that he was jacking off in front of for
unknown reasons.
Some unknown reason.
For unknown reasons.
What the hell's that guy doing over there?
What is he doing?
There were comics, female comics, and I think.
Okay, I got you. So
that actually, his masturbation in those situations, I think, may have been his review of their sets.
But what it didn't do is give women the opportunity to have careers.
Last May, one of Louis C.K.'s accusers, Rebecca Corey, wrote an article saying she received death threats and was attacked online since going public. Also writing, the idea that C.K. re-entering the public eye would ever be considered a comeback story is disturbing. The guy exploited his position of power to abuse women. In his statement last year, Louis C.K. wrote, there is nothing about this that I forgive myself for, adding, I will now step back and take a long time to listen. Tonight, his critics don't think he took long enough.
This is another... Yeah.
Well, first of all, let's remember, this was a 15-minute set, which is like open mic kind of time you get.
Yeah.
He went up there and did 15 minutes and left. I mean, maybe it was, in the back. He wasn't announced. He wasn't booked. It wasn't anything that, it wasn't a big deal. Somebody was bitching, well, he took the time away from other comics trying to come up because it's like an open mic situation. And it's 15 minutes. I mean, come on. This whole thing was a bogus story.
Well, what is disappointing to me is just the overall impact and effectiveness of the Me Too and #Time's Up movement. And we knew that it was really brought into play and overhyped. It had peak moments with the creepy Republican who had signed a yearbook or had someone sitting on his lap, whatever it was. And then after that special election was over, it went to the bottom of the stack, and it hasn't really come back up. And, where are the women now? I mean, I think that they had a good thing going on. People were, I think men were like, holy shit, yeah, look at these douchebags. And now it's just, they can come back, and, Matt Lauer will have another show soon, and it's one big fail at this point. It's super disappointing.
Well, I don't know that the 15 minutes set by Louis C.K. was.
It's just indicative of things to come. I mean, look, if you want to ban plastic,
maybe. I mean, I'm the one who said that the thing was a flop. So
Right, but everything these days, excuse me, can be driven and steered through social media. I mean, if the women really, and the allies, they really wanted to do something, they could. And you're right. I mean, there's no Trump in the story, so it's not good enough. If you want to make change, it's so possible. It's so easy. You just need to organize, and you can use all these networks. It's so easy. What? Louis C.K., you want a show? Oh, no, we're just going to boycott Netflix or HBO or whoever you're going to go. We're just going to tweet horrible things about them, and we'll drive, if you have advertisers, we'll drive them away. Where is that movement? It's not Trump. It just seems like everyone's mind controlled. Only word that works is Trump. It was a good initiative. Now, if you want to start making trouble about plastic, sure, everyone knows how to do that. We got straws up fishes' noses. Oh, and the latest.
Experts found plastic in the stomach of a dead blue whale washed ashore in eastern Japan earlier this month.
Sounds bad. Oh my God, they found plastic in a washed ashore whale.
They say it's an example of the spread of marine plastic contamination. National Museum of Nature and Science experts and other scientists discovered a piece of plastic inside the male cub. The mammal was found on a beach in Kanagawa Prefecture. The plastic is reported to measure roughly 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters.
There's a whale. Okay, so a whale on the beach.
Who's going through the whale's guts to find this little piece of plastic?
Thank you. I didn't see the whale sliced open or anything. You just see him.
Oh my God! Look what I found. It could be something the guy's. He's got a.
It was a dime bag of weed. It was a dime bag of weed. The whale had consumed. Oh my!
3 centimeters by 3 centimeters is really small.
Inch and a half. It's an inch and a half by an inch and a half.
The calf would have still been feeding on its mother's milk. We were quite shocked to find these kind of materials in its stomach. It reveals the amount of pollution in the oceans.
The United Nations Environment Program report warns that marine plastic contamination will likely become more serious. It estimates that by 2050, the oceans will have more plastic than fish, and 99% of seabirds will end up ingesting plastic.
We'll have more plastic. Well, let's make the plastic bags look like fish then.
So what did you say the size was?
3 centimeters by 3 centimeters.
Yeah, which is 1 inch, 1.1 inches by 1.1 inches. So it's an inch.
Yeah, they found that.
I don't know how you'd find it.
Well, they were going in there to cut away blubber.
Yeah, was it hurting the poor animal? Couldn't he crap it out?
The insinuation is he died because of it. They don't say that.
There's no way he died because of it. Yeah. I think half the people around Berkeley have a square inch of plastic in them.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, oh No Agenda. In the morning.
Not sure exactly why it was funny, but it was funny enough.
It probably wasn't funny. Sir Scandinavian starts our list here of today with the people that we can thank for being helping produce this show. 1064 is Paul Arsenault and Jasper, Alberta 12345. Has he got something going on here? I think he won the lottery or something.
What? He won the lottery?
No. The 2 Scandinavian lotteries this week are both 33 million.
Magic word. Magic number.
Sir Carl with a K in Rochester, New York, $100.33. Joseph Harrell, $100 from Moyock, North Carolina. He says the Al Sharpton song alone is worth this.
Yeah, we should probably play that end of show again.
Yeah, it's actually Sir Sean. Greg Smits in Hudson, Wisconsin. He says he married the hottest girl in Wisconsin 27 years ago.
He's been trying to hit her in the mouth for months and hoping an anniversary shout-out on Thursday's show might help. I'd greatly appreciate some anniversary karma. I did get a smile out of her when she heard the Fomer clip and the Trump Space Force last time she let me listen in the car. Keep up the great work. Thank you for bringing sanity to an insane world. I hope you're able to drag her in.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, she might come around. At least if she laughs once in a while, it's a plus.
That's good.
She's not all gone.
She's not a lost cause.
M8008.
Boob.
Daniel Proselt.
I can see Sandy's eyes rolling. They went straight from the anniversary to boobs. Nice show you're listening
it's
to.
It's just the way the numbers are. You could have donated something different.
Can't fight the numbers.
8008, Green Bay, Wisconsin, from Daniel. He needs a de-douching.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
And he wants his donation dedicated to his
name. Ben died on him.
Yeah, his deceased dude named Ben Friend. Yeah.
Sir Jeff Yerke, who does my Red Fox conversions.
Oh,
I got to get back on that. I've been a lag.
Maybe that's why he's donating with a subtle hint.
Yeah. Hey.
How's your
record's back and all his work? 6789 in Concord, California. I should get together with him anyway. Huh. Christopher Spalding in Franklin Park, Illinois, 6565. Joshua Brickner in Greeley, Colorado, 65. Robert Bruckner, 5555. Sir Peep Slayer, 5555. And he says douchebags need to step up and chip in.
Chip in. Sir Austin of the Snowy Cascades in Sammamish, Washington, 5510. Birthday for his wife, Laura, celebrating today. She's on the list.
Jeffrey Schwab in Olympia, Washington, 5510. Sir Bob, the dude's name Ben, 73 is from NC4RG.
Yeah, 73 is Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie.
Sean McCall in Bloomington, Minnesota, 5454. What's he say here? He's got another. Is you get the birthday on here?
Yeah, this is the.
My
birthday's on Monday.
Yeah,
I'll be 54 years young. Happy birthday, Adam. My sisters and brother grew up watching MTV in the 80s. Earlier this year, my brother turned me on to the No Agenda show. I've been handing out haymakers to my friends ever since. My smoking hot wife and I recently moved into a new house in Bloomington. We're trying to have our own little non-MTV watching ones running around. Can I get some baby-making karma? Yes. Thanks for making my dad's stories I thought were crazy as a kid seem entirely true. Okay. Uh-huh.
Put some karma at the end for you. Yeah. Michael Robinson, 5433, which I assume is also a call out to you. And now we do have some $54 call outs, which will be more apparent probably on Sunday when you're closer to your birthday. Mark Johnson in Aurora, Colorado. Ryan Brady in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. These are all 54s. Jason Zeisler, which is the donation for Adam's birthday, $54. If you don't get the newsletter. Bad. You should get the newsletter.
Yeah.
Jason Zeisler in Renner, South Dakota. William Miller, parts unknown. Stan Berezzuk, I'm sure. Sir Roadwolf, Baron of Western New York in North Tonawanda. D. Aline Andrew in Bethany, Oklahoma. There's a bunch of
Just want to say, Sir Roadwolf there's a local No Agenda website set up.
Yeah.
NoAgendaWNY.org.
No Agenda Western New York.
Yeah. Cool.
No Agenda
WNY.org.
Good. D. Aline Andrew in Bethany. James Moore in San Pablo, California. Connor Williams in Durham, North Carolina. Chris Newbold in Portland, Oregon. I think he needs a de-douching or somebody needs a douching there. What's the douche?
Happy birthday, Adam. Last few shows have been dynamite. I laughed so hard at the ASMR bit, I almost lost my voice. Shayad still needs to donate and is a douche.
Douchebag. Robert Jan Mora in Almere, Netherlands, 54.
He needs a de-douching. I've been called up by my good buddy Guido Smith, who introduced me to the show when we did Master in Dublin. It took me a while to become a fan of the show, but now I'm a steady listener.
You've been de-douched.
And you're clean now, my friend. Thank you, Robert Young.
You got a lot of donations here for your birthday. Gabriel.
Well, I'm loved. I'm loved. I'm universally loved.
Well, if you're that loved, you should be able to pronounce this name.
Which one? Gabriel.
Gabriel.
Really? Krilamine?
Krilamine. I have no idea.
Krilamine?
Paul van Cordelaar in
IJmuiden,
Holland. Stephen Hightower, parts unknown. Kyriakos Mitsis in Malvern, Pennsylvania. Kyriakos, I think.
Kyriakos Mitsis.
Yeah, I think so. Todd Creamer. James Murray in Huntington Beach. Mark Hampton. Sir Lancelot of the Crystal Coast in Newport, North Carolina. Sir Chuck Walters in Schaumburg, Illinois. Carl Lindner.
Happy birthday, Adam. Here's to 54 more. Oh, yeah, sure. Sure, I'll take it.
Hello, I'm Adam Curry.
I do have those moments, though, John. You know, my kid just turned 28. I'm 54. I'm like, where did the time go?
Carl Lindner in Cary, North Carolina. Sir Gator of the North Texas Swamps in Providence Village, Texas. Robert Vanderburg in Palmetto, Florida. Archduke, again, Thomas Nussbaum. Nussbaum!
Thank you.
Eric Hokel in Melmulrose, Deutschland. Philip Kuzmanovsky in right down the street from you in Austin, Texas. Paul Terranova.
Hey,
I'm sorry. Now we're at $50. He's not. Your buddy down in Austin is not wishing you a happy birthday. Just donating $50, which will. These are all $50. Name and location.
But he needs a de-douching, I believe. So
you've been de-douched.
Just to make sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what he's saying. He's got a douche issue. Need to be clarified.
A dissue.
Paul Terranova, Robert Makowski in Rhinebeck, New York. Sir Peter Totes in Sugar Land, Texas. Jeffrey Zellen in Oakland, Michigan. Stephen Kunkel in Atlanta, Georgia. He says, thanks for crushing it week in and week out. Scott Lavender in Montgomery, Texas. And that concludes our list of donors and producers for show 1064.
Yes, thank you very much. Nice. Thanks for the birthday wishes. That's very cool. It's actually it's on Monday, so you can still do that on Sunday, I guess.
The Sunday show will be the highlight.
We do break for Barron's on this show. Barron's Sir D.H. Slammer. He came in with the 8778 for jobs and travel karma. He says, in my rush to pack last night, I forgot to donate. Proven Pelosi jobs karma. Okay. Just sent 8778 for jobs travel karma. Could you pretty please mention on today's show, I'll be feet in the air during the donation block if this message reaches you successfully. So he wasn't on the list because it was after the rules, but there's something about Barron's and something about, needing it while he's flying. So we want to make sure we give him the travel karma. A note about the Austin, Texas meetup. We are going to have to delay the original date of October 6th as that is Austin City Limits live weekend, which you do not want to be in Austin for that. It's 2 weekends, and it's kind of like South by with the amount of people that are in town. Only it's Zilker Park where the big shows are being held, but it's just a mess. You can't get a hotel room, you can't park, so we're going to delay that until further notice. I will
move it to Waco.
Now you're talking. Also, I got some notes from people who said, "Oh, it's in Chicago. Why didn't you do a meetup?" So here's a thought. You are perfectly capable of organizing meetups. If I'm coming to Chicago, organize a meetup.
Really good one in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
the Washington, D.C. group looks like it might be
self-starters. Like, come on, set it up. And then, now this case, I might not have gone because it was just 2 days and Tina and I hadn't seen each other for the week. And so maybe, I don't know, we could have dropped by, but a little self-startership is appreciated. So, we'll have more news as meetups occur. It's very important that we meet each other face to face, and that's why we do them. That's why we're happy to talk about them. Okay, we got some karmas to hand out, and then we have a night, a dame, and some birthdays.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
Fucking cancer. And that's for Angie.
You've got karma.
And here's our list for today. It is August 30th, 2018, and Lori Eigel, or Igel, says happy birthday to husband Jeff. Sir Sean turns 50 years old tomorrow. Sir Ray Jacobs says happy birthday to his son Tristan, who will turn 23 years old tomorrow. And Sir Austin of the Snowy Cascade says happy birthday to his wife Laura. She celebrates today, and we could not be happier for her. Happy birthday from all your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe. Up on the podium today, we have a knight, we have a dame, so bring out the blades.
Got it.
Nice. Up on the podium, please, Elizabeth DePoe Bay and Eric Cowley. Both of you have supported the No Agenda Show podcast, the amount of $1,000 or more. That gives you the ring, that gives you the certificate, and it gives you a seat here at the No Agenda Roundtable with our knights and dames, and I hereby pronounce-icate thee the Green Lady of Oregon. And Sir Eric Cowley, for you, we have Hookers and Blow, Red Boys and Chardonnay, Cookies and Vodka, Warm Beer and Cold Women, Taquitos and Tequila, Single Malt, Scotch, Early Times and BF4, Cross Ships and Cane Breaks, Chill Potato Vodka, we got Fish Pie and Fellatio, Harlots and Haldol, Rubenettes Women and Rosé, Geishas and Sake, Bong Hits and Bourbon, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, and of course, Mutton and Mead, right over there at noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shield will take care of you, get your sizes, and we'll get them off to you as soon as possible. And tweet it out. Let us know that you received it. And let everyone else know that you are a proud supporter of the Value Network, Value for Value, here at the No Agenda Show. We can talk about anything. So far, they've not been able to kick us off.
Well, I mean, there's ways.
No, not really.
Yeah, PayPal.
Yeah, well, we just have to go to Bitcoin.
But that's not going to work.
Yeah, it would. Of course it would work.
No, it wouldn't.
You know who's moving money to Bitcoin according to TMZ?
No.
Bill Cosby.
There you have it.
Quote, he moved close to $5 million into Bitcoin after an expert told him it's practically untraceable and impossible for anyone but him to retrieve. If it's good enough for Bill, it's good enough for us.
Well, what he's trying to do there is put some money aside so it can't be attached.
That's the beauty of Bitcoin.
If you can do that with a Cayman Island bank account.
Okay.
You get a Cayman Island bank account. I mean, you have to declare it.
You got to go to the Cayman Islands.
No, you don't. You can do it over the internet.
All right. Well, you do that, and I'll just put it in Bitcoin.
The problem with Bitcoin is that if he puts $5 million in Bitcoin, if it could be worth 10, or it could be worth $500.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, I know you're a big Bitcoin guy.
I am now. Yes, I am. But here's something: you launched I don't know if you really launched it, but you had a problem with the word binge.
Well, I should have. I think I launched it.
Yes. So, what was your problem again with the
I
binge?
don't like the word, and I don't like its implications, and I don't like that it be suggested that people do this. It's a word indicating a bad habit. I binged. He binged. It's like binge drinker. Somebody who goes overboard, does it too much, is a bad thing. It should be discouraged, not encouraged. That was my real bitch about this. These guys, binge watch. I'm going to binge watch. I spent the weekend binge watching. I mean, it's on another podcast.
You, my friend, could be running Netflix. Yes, word is out. They have told all of their actors when you're doing promotion for your series and for the Netflix streaming service, you are forbidden, and not to speak of binge watching, because Netflix wants its brand to seem more luxurious, more luxe. And they feel the term binge cheapens the brand.
Yeah, it's like potato chips. You can't just eat one.
This is their success. I understand that they don't like the term, but it is their success. This idea that you don't have to wait for the episode next week. And now they want to ban the binge?
It's possible that that's an interesting situation now that you mentioned it, because why would you take your
success factor. Your success factor.
Success factor, as lowbrow as it might be, and as associative with down and out drunks and other bad associations as it might be, it is a.
I mean, it's become a verb, man.
It's a selling point.
It is. It's their unique selling proposition.
Well, over 13 episodes came out. I'm going to sit down and watch them all.
I'm going to binge, man. I'm going to binge it. But please don't say binge. Isn't that interesting?
Just change the word.
Ooh, what could we use instead of binge? We can help them out.
Well, let's take a look at the synonyms for binge.
Okay, this is a very good idea.
Come up with something on the spot.
You know where we do that?
Consult the book of knowledge.
Okay.
In this case, just means the internet in general.
Now we could, yes.
Okay, here we go. So binge means a short period devoted to indulging in an activity to excess.
Okay, we got some synonyms coming. How about mainline?
Especially drinking alcohol or eating.
I like
debauch.
I like
is a
mainlining. How about this? Mainlining. Hey, man, I mainlined that show. Okay, that's a no.
Yes, that's exactly.
Splurge. Can we use a splurge?
I'm looking at the
overindulge.
I've got drunk fling.
I like
fling.
Master binge.
Master binge. Yeah, maybe Louis C.K. can make a comeback. Affair bender.
I went on a bender.
A bender.
I can see why they're not liking the term binge if these are all the synonyms. Splurge, no, that's not good. Master binging. Hey, leave me alone, man. I'm master binging.
Blowout.
No, I don't think they have.
Excess,
I don't think they have.
Drunk, dissolute, dissipation, depravity.
Pig out.
Pig out. Pig out's a good.
Pig out. But, this is not good. That's not. They want to have a.
Pig out, man.
They want their brand to be more Luke's.
Well, there's not going to get there with this approach. Fast-lived fornication, gluttony, lechery, overindulgence.
Knock out a season. You could knock it out. Knock it out.
Well, that's not very Luke's.
I think none of it is Luke's. Let's face it. You've got a low-rent brand, my friend. You got shitty-ass comedy specials. You got documentaries that don't really deserve to see the light of day. You got some great series. We love to binge them. Stick with it. Maybe I'm just...
Yeah, I think they're being pretentious. That's the problem. This is the downfall.
Yeah. Yes.
Start another operation. Try another operation. There's other movies operations out there, and they try to make it haughty. And it's no good.
No, they really shouldn't be doing that.
They should think of themselves as a lower class.
It's a second tier. Just forget the problem they're making.
They're first tier, but they're lower class.
Yeah, and that's a success. You don't want to be Luke's. Oh, wait. Oh, stop. No, I know what's going on here. Obama's coming to the channel.
Oh.
That's why.
Obamas, they're the ones that are haughty.
Maybe. They don't want the binge thing. Well,
I think your platform's a little low end,
yes, a little low rent. We'd like to make it a little more Luke's. Michelle and I would like to make it a tad more Luke's now that we're coming to the platform. Nice. Huh?
Might be right. Well, it ain't gonna happen.
No. But I thought I'd just let you know that you kicked that off, and I think that because of you, you brought it to their attention. It's a disgusting word, and they don't like it anymore. So you should be on the board of directors.
Dogs are people too.
Yes. Dogs are people too. And we all know that. And we love having people take care of our dogs. Is Jay still doing her dog walking?
She's retired from dog walking, but she's getting a lot of offers to manage, and they even WAG is, she's talking to them.
Oh,
she's a franchise.
They're recruiting her.
A little bit of recruiting, and
interesting.
every once in a while she gets called and they beg her to go walk some dogs.
Well, it's popular, and interesting things happen when you use the apps for your dog walker.
Dog sitting gone wrong has one Colorado Springs homeowner warning others about a popular app.
Fox 21's Sarah Ferguson shows us the situation he walked into after scheduling the dog sitter.
The general smell in the house.
This is a great story.
Was just disgusting. I've had all the windows and doors open.
A smell he discovered after using the popular dog walking app Wag. He came home around 1 a.m. and he noticed two men without their shirts on sitting on this couch. This is what he says he saw next.
There was an open bottle of personal lubricant and a camcorder on the end table. So it's pretty self-explanatory what was going on.
But to be completely honest, I didn't have WD-40 and my keys were stuck in my car.
Wait a minute. We went from lube to WD-40? That's not lube.
Is that on the... It is, actually.
But it's not personal lube.
No, well, I don't think it is. But there is. That was not your cutting it up.
No. This is the
way the story was presented. What are you watching?
This is local news, of course.
Pretty self-explanatory what was going on.
But to be completely honest, I didn't have WD-40 and my keys were stuck in my car, so I ended up grabbing what I had in my car.
Oh, okay. I guess her key was stuck in her. That was weird. It went from the lube to the WD-40. So I guess she had to go back.
Some things that, I do in my personal time, and I didn't think to put it back in my car.
Cleet says that wasn't it.
No.
So his sheets were also dirty, and as he looked closer.
There's also what I can only assume are bodily fluids on the couch.
I wouldn't know anything about that because I know that I took a shower at this house, and I sat on the couch and a towel, and that was before my friends got there.
Cleet says his dog Jimbo was also locked in a bedroom, sitting in his own urine, acting terrified.
It was just a total mess, and I can only imagine what poor Jimbo saw in there.
According to WAG, the specific dog sitter had a rating of 4.96 out of 5 and had completed a combination of 305 walks and dog sittings.
So she's saying there was no lube. That was my WD-40. Oh my God. We should try that some. Oh no, man. That's not, I'm not trying to say anything, baby. That's just WD-40. My keys are stuck in my car.
The guy was pulled over for marijuana. He says, "That's not my marijuana. We found it in your underwear." He says, "It's not my underwear."
What they should have had is ranch hand. That would have done it.
Someone's getting cornholed today.
Sounds like a recipe for success to me.
Ranch hand. That's the stuff.
People who would let people
That stuff is dangerous. It's so good.
There are people letting people into their house to get their dog. And say, "Hey, look, I took a shower at his place." I mean, that shouldn't be a problem. Just want to take a shower. I'm going to walk his dog. I took a shower, That's great.
Well, that's why you don't use those kinds of services. You use a really legitimate operation.
Yes. Dvorak Dog Walking, LLC. Am I wrong?
All right, I got a question for you. It's not a full Ask Adam, but it's kind of one because I know you won't get it.
Oh.
Ask Adam what country contributes the most refugees to the United States.
I do know this. China.
Play.
We turn to the crisis in Venezuela and beyond. Venezuelans are now the largest group by nationality seeking asylum in the U.S. Last year, more than 28,000 people applied for that status, 5 times the number in 2015. They're fleeing political turmoil and a country in economic freefall that is threatening its neighbors. Today, the Brazilian military is deploying to a region along its border with Venezuela that has suffered a spike in violence since Venezuelan refugees arrived.
Now, this situation in Venezuela, which is not covered because it doesn't involve Trump,
right?
Not covered much by the mainstream media. It was covered by PBS, and I want to just play the end of their report, or this part of it, the Venezuela rundown, with this theory at the end. And I want to preface it by saying that a couple of things. One, this Maduro guy is really a bad guy, and if you remember when John Perkins, the guy who wrote The Confessions of an Economic Hitman, was local here, and I went to talk to him at a rollout of his...
You mean after he flipped?
After he rolled out his new version of the same old book, which must have some edits in it. I'm obviously not going to go through it. And I asked him specifically about Venezuela. because he's a big fan of Ecuador and he wants to, he thinks he had absolutely zero to say about it. Nothing. Even though it was in his book.
Yeah.
About how they tried to kill, what's his name, the old guy and all the rest of it. So I found that to be fascinating. But listen to this.
Venezuelans feel very watched and not safe from the government. And it is taking a toll. This silence on the part of the opposition together with this exodus is a sign that the government is prevailing.
And as the government is prevailing, to use your words, do they feel any pressure to make some of the reforms that are required?
This is what's so interesting. Under normal circumstances, any government facing this type of economic calamity would try to do something to stop it. But what I believe is happening in Venezuela is that the government has realized that this economic crisis works to its advantage, because it completely decimates the private economy and it also decimates civil society and leaves only one actor standing, and that is the state. So the Maduro administration has concluded, strangely, that this economic crisis is politically convenient for them. And so they have no incentive necessarily to put an immediate end to the economic crisis.
But we have seen some sign, right, that there's some cracks within the rank and file of the elites and perhaps even within the military. So does that mean that the government really feels no pressure to try and make life better for everyone in the country?
The one incentive to try to fix the situation is that the economic environment is unbearable for almost everyone. So the government is responding with the classic combination of co-opting some groups and repressing those that are a bit more uppity. And so you see that a lot of the repression now is being directed not just at opposition forces, but also sectors of the ruling party that are beginning to show discontent. There are reports of about 200 military personnel having been arrested, for example. And that tells us that the government is trying this combination of co-opting some groups, but also applying some force inside the movement itself, including the military.
So this is an interesting situation. He's actually ruining the country so the government can really put together a true socialist dream come true.
Yeah, we should move.
Well, some people should move, but this is not being covered at all by the mainstream media. I mean, this is PBS. They did cover it, so it's not, and they count. But generally speaking, it's not discussed because the Democrats who dominate this scene, they're pushing the same agenda with some of their candidates, and they don't want to mess it up by bringing in this kind of information.
No,
because it doesn't really sit well with Americans that even think that something like this could happen here. Can't happen here.
Yeah, it sure can.
So
it sure can.
So don't discuss that situation in Venezuela. And you know what the inflation rate is right now?
It's like 17 or 18%.
1,000,000%.
Wow. Okay. So what's the Venezuelan peso?
Well, I don't know if it's a peso. I would say it's a crucero, but I don't know what it is right now. But it's completely out of control. They've had to pull all the money and come out with new money, new dominations with missing 5 zeros, and they changed the name of it. They did all the stuff Brazil used to do, to try to control the situation. But it is.
Well, I hope they all bought into Bitcoin. That would save them. It would have actually.
I think it's illegal there.
Of course it is. This is a huge issue, but you can't stop it.
Just buy dollars.
You can't stop. Yeah, dollars. I'm sure that's illegal too. Well, in the same vein, we're not hearing about Eastern Germany.
The East German city of Chemnitz, in front of its Karl Marx memorial, several thousand demonstrators chanting anti-immigration slogans. Police reported seeing Hitler salutes too.
Oh no.
Tensions here are high after a German man was stabbed on Sunday. A Syrian and an Iraqi man were arrested, and a wave of anti-immigration protest took to the streets.
Das Gebot der Stunde ist Besonnenheit und Ruhe.
Now is the time to remain calm and level-headed. The police are investigating and the prosecuting authorities are doing their jobs. Chemnitz will not allow the perpetrators of violence and anarchists to run rampant on our streets. We will enforce the rule of law.
Police warned masked demonstrators in the city, which is 200 kilometers south of the capital Berlin, that their actions were being filmed. Flowers have been laid where the 35-year-old man was stabbed to death. In the hours after the killing, far-right groups took to social media to call for public demonstrations against immigration.
It does exist, the right-wing extremist scene which rears its head every once in a while. There is also a certain mixture of different groups. For example, football fans.
Hooligans! In 2015, Germany gave home to more than 1 million migrants, many from the Middle East, a stance that proved unpopular with many voters. In Chemnitz, counter-demonstrators called for calm and tolerance. There are reports that immigrants have suffered abuse in the city in the wake of the stabbing. Chancellor Angela Merkel said Germany would not tolerate vigilante justice. Local prosecutors said the 2 suspects were still being questioned.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Seems like people are pissed off.
Trump's not involved, so nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk about. Trump's not involved.
But let's talk about it here. We have one of our artists is living in Germany, and he's been corresponding with me because you won't answer his email. He says it's a lot worse than anybody over here even imagines.
Yeah. What else did he say, or what did he say about it?
He says, and I sent him some papers written out of the Hoover Institute, which discuss the situation. He says, this is the surface. He says, it's all shallow. He says, we are not covering, not us, but the Western media is not covering any of this stuff. No. And I started thinking about it, especially with that report. Is it and then also considering the Maduro situation in Venezuela, right. Is it possible that Merkel brought all these immigrants into Germany to jack them up for the purposes of getting the
doing a Venezuelan trick, you mean?
Well, not Venezuela per se, but to try to reignite, because she's from East Germany.
Yes.
To reignite some sort of social movement that will get everybody kick these guys out, and probably kick her out too.
Like it was a sting. It was a sting.
Well, not a sting, but a triggering mechanism to get the Germans
riled up.
The normal, you want to talk about fascism. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a culture that will go in that direction. Unlike us, we really don't even got the genetic structure as a people to do it, to become like, to bring a Hitler into play.
Not yet.
I don't think it's possible. But in Germany, it's built in.
John at Dvorak.org. For all you DNA genetically challenged Germans. Wow.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we do have a lot of German guys. We have Germans who listen to this show. Maybe some of them, besides our Polish artist, can.
He tells me. Well, he's been telling me this for years that it's really bad. I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, it's not discussed.
No, it's not discussed.
I would like to discuss briefly a couple of OTG things.
What?
OTG.
Some
OTG things, and
people are very happy with your OTG.
Some are happy, yeah. And I just want to reiterate what the mission here is. The mission is to get away from the Pavlovian response mechanism that is triggered by a smartphone. Now, there's all kinds of things you need to do on your desktop to not be tracked. And I'm not talking about the intelligence services, although you certainly can use encrypted email. I mean, I still don't understand why politicians don't use encrypted email. I use it quite regularly. But the mission really is to have a device that I can take with me. It has a modern web browser. You can do anything you need to do with a device with a modern web browser. That's all you need. And the phone I have, that's all it really can do. It's a great web browser, can do text messaging, and it can do email. But the idea is that you want to design your on-the-road system to be as undesirable as possible to use. This is for your health. It forces focus. It forces consideration when you use it, especially if you're writing something on the numeric keypad where you got to hit 3 times number 2 for the C.
Yeah.
But what it does...
That's got to be the worst.
No, it's not. It's very enjoyable because you do not have the capability to respond to someone quickly. You can't just text something real quick. You gotta think about what you're doing. This reduces distraction by at least 95%, except for text message alerts. It reduces tracking by Silicon Valley by at least 50%, but it improves your sanity 100%. And you look around and you'll be able to play little games about spot the zombie, which you win very quickly because they're everywhere. And I have a couple clips. Actually, before I get to that, we were talking about Microsoft and if they, because of course Windows 10 tracks you, and if they have a real advertising play. And was I put in my place. Holy moly!
What?
Well, I said, because maybe they're just doing it on, they just have mass, they got a lot of reach, so they're selling ads based upon some simple demographics, and they have huge audience. Wrong again, Curry.
Says who?
Says multiple producers. It's all about Cortana.
Oh yeah,
Cortana is it tracks everything. Search, server registry. They know exactly who you are. Now you can turn off what Cortana collects, but you can't really turn it off. So I'm not sure what it is tracking that, because I did look at my Microsoft, your data. You can see what they've tracked, and I have pretty much nothing. This is another one of our producers. I have a friend who works at Microsoft. Actually, he's contracted by Microsoft and works as a data engineer. Data engineer. He says he worked on data collection, coding, and compiling. Let me tell you, he thinks Microsoft has the best monetization data out there, hands down. Basically, from what I understand, they collect every possible electrical output on their devices and are able to establish trends like what games have to be ejected from the Xbox the most. Oh, wow. What game you're ejecting. Yeah. So we got our issues with Windows, for sure. And just to let you know, Yahoo is still, unlike what Google claims, Yahoo still parses your Yahoo email for advertising. Big article in the Wall Street Journal about it. You know those boneheads still do that?
Well, they can get away with it. Might as well.
Yeah, I guess. Well, people just don't know
what kind of advertising advantage they get.
What they say is they look at like business emails. So if you get what are some of the examples here? If you get a confirmation from a trip, then they say, okay, where's the trip going to? They'll look at your trip details and see if they can make you an offer based upon your travel, that kind of stuff. Real deep learning, machine learning, real deep stuff. Jaron Lanier, who we've played some things from before, and you're like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah. But he was on the Sam Harris podcast. He let loose a little bit about what he has seen with his own 2 eyes when it comes to tracking from the tech tyranny.
I've been present a couple of times when the various tech companies present themselves to the big advertising conglomerates in the annual negotiation of fees, which is this amazing hidden ritual that I wish more people could see. And when you'll see the representatives from companies like Facebook and Google present themselves, they're so overreaching and creepy, and they probably are exaggerating, but they'll talk about being able to just measure your soul. I mean, it'll just be like, oh, we're measuring the movement of your phone, which can tell us how you're walking, and then from that we can derive your mood and whether you're having a period, if you're a woman, all kinds of stuff. We're following where you go. We're following all this stuff. We're following your voice tone when you do voice stuff. We're following your facial expression if we have a camera on you. We're measuring all this stuff. We know all these things about your health that you'll never know. We know all these things about your mood, about your mental state, about your state of attention. And we offer all of this amazing encyclopedia of spying on you to you, our true customer, if only you'll give us more money so you can have your piece of controlling the world. It's just such a weird thing. But at any rate, the attitude is get as much as you can and be as creepy about it as possible when you're trying to earn money from your true customers. I think it is helpful because it's mostly true. You are the product. It's not exactly true. What it is your demonstrated change in behavior from what it otherwise would have been as the product. Mm-hmm. So it's your loss of free will as the product is a more precise way of putting it.
Excellent. If you're on your period...
Bull crap.
Oh, I don't think it's bull crap at all.
BS guy.
You know what? I think they know a lot more than we realize. The accelerometers in these phones, you can derive a lot from that. They know if you're reading in bed. There's all kinds of stuff like this. You shouldn't be on your smartphone. You shouldn't have your smartphone in the bedroom at all, really. But why would he say that? Do you think he's just making that up?
No, I don't think he's making it up. I think I think he's got most of it right, except the point that's being missed here is that this is just nonsense used as a sales pitch to get more CPM from dumb advertisers who are too stupid to even know that internet advertising doesn't hardly work any better than print advertising. This is just, and he's like the advertiser. He keeps saying the true customer. What he means by that is the advertisers.
Yeah,
And so they have these unbelievable sales pitches that go off the deep end, and he's there lapping it up, blah, blah, just as though like these dumb sales buyers, the buyers from these advertising companies that are buying ads. And, oh wow, look at that! Look at all the stuff they can do. They can't do any of it. It's just a sales pitch to sell ads at a higher price.
I think they do have some capabilities.
Advertising world, get a clue.
I think they do have some capabilities.
None.
Well, DC Girl says it's not a problem because
you yourself go on and on about, hey, I just bought this product. Why are they advertising it to me over and over?
Sure. I don't like any of it. That's all.
And you yourself are the ones who said that internet advertising is bogus and bad and crummy.
It's not just about advertising, John. It's about a lot of things. It has to do with your behaviors, and that's not just an ad that shows up. This data is important. Something changed, by the way, which I think is a huge story, but is the only place I found that was on CNBC, and it ties into this. There's been a change made in how your FICO score is calculated, and everybody's should be going up. And this relates directly to the kind of things that these companies are doing in profiling you. And now we're giving you, slave, we're giving you a new lease on life because we're doing things so your credit score can go up. And, well, you know what the obvious conclusion will be once that happens, what we all have to do is we all have to get some more debts.
Good news for millions of consumers. The three major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, got together and said, we have to make some changes and revamp our scoring system here. We need to look at what we're including on the reports and in the score, and collections was the big thing that they looked at. They actually took out some of the main collections that can really trip people up. You wouldn't believe it. Library fines.
Really?
Believe
That's
it or
going to
not.
hurt your credit score?
Parking and traffic tickets. And then this is the really big one, medical debt. And what they decided was these are not really factors that contribute to whether you're credit worthy or not, medical debt being the biggest one of those. And so if you have medical debt that's in collections but it's already being paid by insurance or it started to be paid by insurance, that's not going to count at all. And they won't even have medical debt on there until at least 180 days because it takes so long to deal with the insurers sometimes.
What's the deal, though, with the library fines and the traffic tickets?
Well, I don't want to admit that some people in my household have known this to happen, but it can happen that if you don't pay a library fine in the past, an overdue book could go into collections, and that could hurt your credit score.
Like for your $2 that you owe on that late book that you...
Or $14.09. I won't say.
So how do I know if my credit score has been impacted, if I have a better score now?
Well, you can know by checking out your credit score, and you can do it for free a number of places. You can go on.
So now they move from the story into the pitch, really.
Online to Credit Karma or Credit Sesame or NerdWallet, but you can also open your bank statement. American Express, Chase, Wells Fargo, Discover, many banks now include your
every
credit
statement
score.
That they send home?
Every statement. So you can look back and see what it was a couple months ago and what it is today and pay attention to whether it's gone up or down. If it's gone up, that's great news because that could mean you could get a lower rate on your credit card. And that could have significant impact and significant savings.
More money.
For instance, if you had like $10,000 in debt, credit card debt, and you had a 25% interest rate, you're paying $2,500 over the course of a year in interest charges. If it's 18%.
To not even pay off a penny of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So 18% interest rate, it's $1,800 in charges.
What a deal.
So that's
$700 savings. So what your score is makes a really big difference.
All right. If I see my score, what does that tell me? I may not know how to kind of map that out.
Right. So you're looking at a range between 300 and 850. If it's
I find this disturbing to listen to. Now they're going to tell us what this is all about. Social ranking. Ultimately, it's all going to come together, and they're messing.
The Chinese are more honest about it.
Yes,
100 or better, you're exceptional. You're awesome. You're going to get the credit for whatever you want, pretty much.
Whatever you want.
If it's between 740 and 799, also very, very good, and you're probably going to get the lower loan rates that are available. If you're between 670 and 739, that's good. You're an acceptable borrower. Below that is where problems arise.
So it's even below subprime. I
yeah.
heard 650 is where you get
some will say 650, some will say 660. Go for the higher one to make sure that you're going to be okay. But also know this: you've heard different numbers because there's not just one credit score. Right. Depending on if you're getting an auto loan or a mortgage or a credit card company, they're all going to look at perhaps some different numbers. So these are general ranges from Experian and FICO that you should be looking at.
If I'm looking at a number, how do I know if it's the same one that those companies are looking at?
Well, you can ask them which one they're looking at, or which credit
Give me more
bureau they're referring to in terms of getting your score to find out. But just know, generally speaking, you want to have a score that's in the upper 600s if you could. At least 700s, you're going to be golden. If you're in the 500s, you have some work to do. You really want to work on your credit.
You really want to work on it. Work on your credit.
Prelude to the market crash.
Ooh, yeah.
All you did was play a clip that was prelude to the market crash.
I think you're right. I think this is a huge story. They need to make more. We need to make more money, so we need more credit, right? Isn't that how it works?
Pretty much.
So we need to print more, so people need to go into debt more.
Everyone in debt. You kind of, toughen up the bankruptcy law so you can't declare bankruptcy with certain things don't count.
Yes.
Like student loans, for example, which should be covered.
Yep.
And they're not. Mm. Credit card bills, I think, are one of them. It's at the point now where the bankruptcy laws have been so jiggered with that they're just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it's all coming together. But you're right. China's at least honest about it. Here we have this craze about, you got to, you need some work. You're not doing well. You only got 500. This is not good. You're not really a participant in society.
And the joke of it, of course, is those really super high numbers. If you're somebody who pays everything in cash, you're always on time, you never missed a payment in your life, and everything you do is without credit cards, and you live in a nice place, and you got brand new cars that you paid for with cash.
You got no credit.
You got a credit score of 2.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that was you.
Yeah, I had to start building my credit back up. I need to do more work. Trust me. I need to work harder on it. All right, last clip for me is a sad story. Sad as the unintended consequences of technology are overlooked. In this case, this is going to affect, I think, millions of people in the United States of America, and it has to do with old school technology.
Shortwave listeners might recognize this signature ID.
National Institute of Standards and Technology time. This is radio station WWV, Fort Collins, Colorado.
WWV is the oldest continuously operating radio station in the United States. It's been on the air since 1920. Its signal provides a frequency standard for receivers. The timestamp is regulated by an atomic clock. But a 2019 budget proposal for NIST would close WWV, WWVH in Hawaii, and WWVB, which syncs up the time for about 50 million radio-controlled clocks, wristwatches, and appliances. Now, one of our producers spoke with the president of Lacrosse Technologies. They make a lot of these radio-controlled clocks that are found in schools and factory floors and homes. He says that he thinks Congress would never approve this cut because there are so many millions of devices. Does that reassure you?
That's nice to hear someone in industry saying that. But right now, as the budget sits, it does cut out all of the WWV time stations. So if it goes through as proposed right now, it will be cut in 2019.
How about that? Never thought that would happen.
It won't. Everybody's going to bitch about it, me included.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure I have some devices here that depend on the 10 kilohertz.
The NIST clock. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it sends out a signal. It's great too. You just put the clock up, and then you look. It's got blinking 12, and then 10 minutes later, it's got the exact time and date.
I know. Before the internet, it was like magic.
Well, I have one last clip then.
Okay.
Which will be this is a clip kind of in line with most of my clips today, which is another example of lousy reporting by the mainstream media, and it's kind of brought up in the story by, this is the Good Morning America show. It's kind of brought up in the story, and when they close the story, somebody brings up the point that it's like, are you going to talk? Can you give it? Did you do any reporting at all, or is this just some shallow story? This is apparently in the U.S. Open, some French tennis player, she comes out after one of these time breaks, and she notices that she's got her blouse on backwards.
I hate it when that happens.
So she pulls it off and turns it around and puts it back on. In the process of pulling it off, you can see her sports bra underneath.
Whoa!
And of course, these guys are walking around naked, but this woman then they called her and they gave her a penalty. And this is the story. As U.S. Open women switches on Good Morning America.
Open outrage. A French player punished for flipping her shirt around on the court, while the men face no penalty for changing their shirts in the heat. ABC's Adrian Bankert is here, and Adrian, people are saying this is a serious double standard.
Yeah, I can see Cecilia's face right now as I'm looking at you and then looking at the whole team here.
I had nothing to do with it. Look at me.
Well, it was hot outside for just regular folk.
Oh, yeah.
But just imagine playing in Arthur Ashe Stadium in this kind of heat. Day 2 of the Open, 5 players forced to withdraw. Alizé Cornet was not one of them. She bravely soldiered on, returning to the court after a 10-minute heat break. Then she did something a lot of guys have been doing all day. She quickly changed her shirt on the court away from cameras. She turned away from the cameras to do that. The reason for the court change, in the locker room, she put her shirt on backwards, and she noticed. She got a code violation for unsportsmanlike conduct for changing her shirt. Turns out men are allowed to do that. Women cannot. Reaction on Twitter, very swift. Sharon Suter responding to this topless picture Andy Murray's mom posted of her son with "Where's his code violation?" Hashtag Alizé Cornet. Murray's mom later tweeting about the unfairness of the sex disparity. The same day Cornet was getting a code violation, check out Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic. Not a care in the world. They took their shirts off. Alice Warren speaking for Minnie when she tweeted out, "The whole situation's not fair, not right. Tell your daughters." Now, I do have to say this, and again, I'm just making sure that I confirm all of this correctly. The USTA has an extreme heat policy for women where they can take a 10-minute break. That's what Alizé was reportedly doing. She took a break to cool off. Men, up until now, did not have that same rule. So they wouldn't leave the court, and that explains why they've been taking their shirts off.
Bra, and you have your shirt on backwards, and maybe when you're playing, it's restrictive in some way, but I don't see the big deal with that.
Tongue. Don't look at me. Get yourself in trouble right now.
People feel the same way, and I think obviously they're thinking, what's the big deal? She had a sports bra on.
Is a code violation a big deal? Do you know?
I mean, from the look on her face, it was. Yeah, she didn't appreciate it.
Did she win the match?
Alizé Cornet.
I don't know if she won the match. Honestly, I was more concerned about the shirt thing.
Brother. This is not post-racial. This is stupid. It's not post-racial.
It's stupid, and of course somebody, Michael Strahan at the end, who I don't even know why he's on these shows, says, did she win the match? And then everyone laughs, ha, 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 and they go to the next story. They didn't even do enough work to determine whether this girl won or lost the match, and maybe there's some connection between the code violation and maybe it ruined her game. Who knows?
Did you look it up?
Of course. She lost the match.
And that's why you listen to the No Agenda Show. The more you learn in the morning. Okay. Well, whatever takes place during this show day or the next few days. We'll be reporting on it diligently on Sunday's episode of the best podcast in the universe.
And that's the birthday episode, $54 to help us out.
That's right. 54. Not sure what to say.
55 next year.
It is what it is. Coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas. This is the capital of the Drone Star State. It is in FEMA region number 6, if you're looking for it on a governmental map. And I am in the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday right here with another episode of No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofos.
Donate to a No Agenda. They give ushers week after week. Donate to a No Agenda. It's a show that's really unique. Donate to a No Agenda. Listen to John and Adam speak. Donate to a No Agenda. Science is turning into a clique.
He's getting lunch at Chick-fil-A. The tortillas in the race. Kim Kardashian, Sigourney Weaver, Rush. R-E-S-P-I-C-T. They're all jitty. R-E-S-P-I-C-T. There's no real conflict. Resist. We must. Resist. We must. We must. And we will much about that be committed.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Come on now. It doesn't work like that.